divine and mysterious immortality. I start my cultivation by adding points as a butcher. This video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 776, Corpse Refining Technique. Now, in front of Wei Hong, there was only a box carved from ice jade. This jade box was a circle larger than the palm of his hand, and it exuded a faint chill. Wei Hong gently opened the jade box, and the contents immediately appeared in front of him. Inside was a white crystal that was 3 fingers wide and about 3 inches long. The white crystal was 1 finger thick. As soon as he opened the box, he felt a gust of cold air rushing towards him. With Wei Hong's current cultivation, he was naturally not afraid of this cold air, but after seeing this white crystal, he was secretly surprised, and then frowned and said, "Is this ice soul cold crystal?" After a careful inspection, he finally confirmed that this was indeed a piece of ice soul cold crystal. The so-called ice soul cold crystal is a second-level top-grade material, which can generally only be found in ice jade veins. It can be used to refine ice-type spiritual tools, and can also allow cultivators who practice ice-type exercises to absorb the cold air inside, thereby promoting their cultivation. This kind of ice soul cold crystal can only be stored with ice jade to ensure that the coldness is not exposed. After seeing this piece of ice soul cold crystal, Wei Hong did not feel too surprised. For him, this piece of ice soul cold crystal can only be used as a refining material at most, or be exchanged by him. Forget it, I have never seen such a material before. Let's see if I can use it to exchange for some good things in the future. Wei Hong held this mentality and put away the ice soul cold crystal directly. At this point, he had sorted out all the spoils he had harvested from Xiao Ming and others. He had originally consumed most of his family assets because of the previous war, but the harvest at this time was extremely rich, several times richer than his previous family assets, which made Wei Hong's pockets bulge. He harvested more than 50,000 medium-grade spirit stones alone, and more than 20 high-grade spirit stones, plus dozens of spirit tools and a large number of elixirs. These things are enough to support his cultivation to the late stage of foundation building. Such harvest makes Wei Hong feel very satisfied. However, these things are not all his gains, and they are not even the most important. At this moment, Wei Hong suddenly took out a banner from his storage bag. It was the 10,000 souls banner that had absorbed countless souls and spirits. This 10,000 souls banner had previously absorbed all the souls of Xiao Ming and others, so that there were 8 more souls in the foundation building period, and one of them was a soul that had completed the foundation building process. He directly regarded it as the main soul of the 10,000 souls banner. Tisk tisk tisk, not bad, not bad. I didn't expect that the 10,000 souls banner, which was originally just a magic weapon, has now grown to be more powerful than a second-level upper-grade spiritual weapon. It is really a pleasant surprise. Looking at the 10,000 souls banner in his hand that exuded a captivating yin aura, Wei Hong laughed with satisfaction. The aura emitted by this 10,000 souls banner is now much stronger than those second-level upper-grade spiritual weapons in his hands. It looks very yin and gloomy. Once all the foundation building souls in it are released, Wei Hong doesn't even dare to guarantee that a cultivator in the late stage of foundation building can withstand it. If he had just encountered an ambush by Xiao Ming and his men, with this 10,000 souls banner in hand, he would definitely not be in as much danger as last time. In fact, this 10,000 souls banner alone could have directly restrained Xiao Ming. Another trump card. Next time, I must find a chance to test the power of this 10,000 souls banner. Wei Hong was also very curious about how powerful this 10,000 souls banner is now. However, he had no chance to test it yet, so he could only wait and see. At this time, he thought of the 8 corpses he had collected. With a wave of his hand, the headless corpse belonging to Xiao Ming appeared on the ground in front of Wei Hong. With the appearance of this corpse, a hint of blood also emanated. Wei Hong's face showed no strange color, but he frowned as he looked at the corpse in front of him. A corpse that has completed the foundation building should have some value, right? Looking at the corpse, Wei Hong thought to himself, if it falls into the hands of a demon cultivator, it may be quite useful, but it doesn't seem to be of much use to me. Should I just get rid of it? However, such a corpse of a foundation building is extremely rare, and he still has 8 of them. No matter how you look at it, They are of considerable value. It would definitely not be appropriate to get rid of them directly, and it is not certain that they can be sold. For a moment, Wei Hong was a little troubled. He thought about it for a long time, and suddenly an idea flashed in his mind. Yes, since demon cultivators can refine various corpses into refined corpses, why can't I? If these 8 corpses of foundation building cultivators are all made into refined corpses, wouldn't it be like having 8 more helpers? Thinking of this, Wei Hong became excited. And the more he thought about it, the more feasible it seemed to him, and he even had endless expectations in his heart. Yes, let's do it this way. Otherwise, it would be a waste of these 8 corpses of foundation building monks. Making them into refined corpses is definitely the best choice. It can even give me one more trump card. Haha, it's decided. Wei Hong was overjoyed and thought of the best solution at once. However, he had already thought of the solution, but he couldn't implement it immediately. If I want to make the corpses into refined corpses, I must find a corpse refining technique, otherwise I don't know how to refine corpses. Only by practicing the corpse refining technique can he turn all 8 corpses into refined corpses. But he didn't practice any corpse refining technique now, so he had to find a way to find one. Thinking of this, Wei Hong's eyes suddenly lit up. Oh, it just so happens that the pavilion master of Bidang promised that I can go to the library to exchange for a spell or technique within 30,000 merit points. Isn't this just right? The technique within 30,000 merit points can definitely find a corpse refining technique that meets his requirements. Wei Hong was getting more and more excited at this time, and he couldn't wait to go to the library immediately. As for whether there would be any negative effects from practicing corpse refining, he didn't need to consider this at all. Because Kangshan Immortal City is a free city, it gathers most of the casual cultivators in the world of immortal cultivation. It is also because of this that there are all kinds of people in Kangshan Immortal City, so there is no distinction between the righteous and the evil ways. As long as it is not obviously practicing evil skills, even some magic skills will not be prohibited. Therefore, whether it is the 10,000 souls banner in his hand or the upcoming corpse refining, it is actually nothing. There are many cultivators who practice these things. As long as he doesn't perform them in front of too many people, there will be no problem at all. At this time, Wei Hong was already a little impatient, so he immediately put away the corpse in front of him, and then walked out of the residence without thinking, and walked directly towards the direction of the library. Let's take a look first. If the library doesn't have it, then go outside to find it. With my current wealth, I think I can still afford it. With this idea in mind, Wei Hong soon came to the library. Chapter 777 Zuan Corpse Refining Technique. An hour later, Wei Hong walked out of the library with a calm face, and then walked outside. After almost an hour of selection, he finally chose a Zhuanyin Corpse Refining Technique. This Zhuanyin Corpse Refining Technique is a second-level upper-grade corpse refining secret technique. Wei Hong also chose it for a long time. According to the records in the Jade Slip, after practicing this Zhuanyin corpse refining technique to a high level, the walking corpses refined can at least retain 60% of the combat power of the corpses before they died. Moreover, after being refined into walking corpses, those refined corpses have powerful bodies, and ordinary spiritual weapons cannot hurt them at all. This is also what Wei Hong is most satisfied with. However, after having the corpse refining technique, he cannot refine corpses immediately, because the process of refining corpses is not short, and it also requires a lot of materials. He is now going to the treasure pavilion to buy the auxiliary materials used for refining corpses. Fortunately, I have harvested a lot of spiritual stones, otherwise I may not be able to afford the materials. Wei Hong walked out, muttering to himself. Soon, he arrived at the treasure pavilion. However, he did not want others to know that he was going to refine zombie puppets, so he changed his appearance. After arriving at the treasure pavilion, Wei Hong went directly to the steward Lu Xianai, explained his purpose, and then handed him a jade slip, which detailed the various materials he needed. Lu Xianai saw that it was a big deal, and immediately welcomed Wei Hong in with great enthusiasm, and then immediately ordered his subordinates to prepare the materials according to the jade slip, and he was responsible for entertaining Wei Hong. Half an hour later, the materials Wei Hong needed were ready. This batch of materials cost more than 10,000 medium-grade spirit stones. If he had not just harvested a lot, he really couldn't even afford the materials, and could only buy them in batches. After buying the materials, Wei Hong returned directly to the Dangwon Pavilion. After returning to his residence, he plunged into the practice room. 3 years later. In the practice room, Wei Hong was meditating with his eyes closed. With each breath, a faint mist arose. This mist was formed by the condensation of spiritual energy. At this time, it gathered around him and enveloped him. In addition, a layer of faint green light was emitting from the surface of Wei Hong's body, but it also revealed a sense of sharpness. It was obvious that the green light sword art had been cultivated to a high level. Huh? After a moment, Wei Hong slowly opened his eyes, exhaled lightly, and exclaimed with great spirit, after breaking through to the 6th level of foundation building, the speed of cultivation has slowed down a lot. It seems that I don't know how many years it will take to break through to the late stage of foundation building. As early as 3 months ago, he officially broke through to the 6th level of foundation building. Although he swallowed a lot of pills, this result still made Wei Hong quite satisfied. However, after breaking through to the 6th level of foundation building, his cultivation speed slowed down again, which made him very emotional, but he could only accept the fact. Of course, the breakthrough in cultivation is not his only gain in the past 3 years. After opening his eyes, Wei Hong gently stood up and came to the side, then put his hand on a head full of messy hair, and was carefully sensing something. If someone saw this scene here, they might faint directly from fear. It was because the head in front of Wei Hong looked dry and bloody, but bloodless, with a layer of slightly white metallic luster on the surface, and even 2 sharp long teeth above the corners of the mouth, just like a mummy. The most important thing is that next to him, there are not just 1 such head, but 8, just forming a circle in the secret room. These 8 heads seemed to grow out of the ground, because except for the head, the body below the head was all buried underground, and only 1 head was exposed above the ground. Wei Hong turned a blind eye to such a horrifying scene. His face did not change at all, but closed his eyes and carefully explored something. These 8 mummies were the walking corpses that he had spent a lot of materials to finally refine in the past 3 years. 3 years ago, he exchanged a Zuanine corpse refining technique from the library and bought a large amount of auxiliary materials. Then he first included the Zuanine corpse refining technique and the burning blood exploding spirit technique into the system, and then used the few remaining vitality points to upgrade the 2 secret techniques to the Great Perfection realm. After that, Wei Hong began to slowly make all kinds of preparations while studying the corpse refining technique. Then, according to the steps recorded in the Zuanine corpse refining technique, he gradually refined all the 8 corpses in the storage bag into zombies. With the help of the Zuanine corpse refining technique, he not only put the heads of the 8 corpses back intact, but also successfully refined them into zombies, so that each of these zombies retained a lot of combat power. After carefully sensing it, Wei Hong opened his eyes and murmured, "It's almost time, but I can bury it for a while." After that, he got up and sat back on the futon. The reason why he buried all 8 corpses in this oil was actually to refine corpses according to the methods recorded in the Zuanine corpse refining technique, because the corpses could not be used immediately after they were successfully refined. It would take some time for the corpses to be completely transformed into zombie puppets, so that the power of the corpses could be fully exerted. Burying them in this oil could accelerate the transformation process, but it also required Wei Hong to pour some blood on them every day. Looking at the 8 corpses in front of him, Wei Hong said to himself, "The corpses have been refined, and it is worth spending so much energy and a lot of materials. These 8 corpses have reached the level of silver corpses, and it should not be a problem to deal with several foundation building monks. There are different levels of zombies and zombies. The zombies are divided into copper corpses, silver corpses, gold corpses and flying yakshas from low to high, corresponding to the key training period, foundation building period, golden elixir period and nascent soul period respectively, and the 8 zombies refined by Wei Hong have reached the level of silver corpses. These 8 zombies have retained at least 60% of their combat power in life, and after being refined into zombies, their bodies have become invulnerable to swords and guns, and are very hard. It is difficult for ordinary spiritual weapons to cause any damage to their bodies. In this way, each zombie can be regarded as a cultivator in the foundation building period, especially at least 3 of the 8 zombies can compete with the existence of the middle stage of the foundation building period. With their combined strength, even a cultivator with perfect foundation building can fight. The most important thing is that these zombies not only have no sense of pain, but also are fearless of death. They are definitely another big trump card in Wei Hong's hand now, which also makes him no longer afraid of siege. It's just that the number of 8 zombies is a bit too much. I need to purchase 2 more body storage bags, which can just keep these zombies warm in the body storage bags. Wei Hong's mind moved, and he immediately thought of a solution to place these zombies. Only 2 body storage bags are needed to solve this problem, and the body storage bags can also warm the zombies, which is completely killing 2 birds with 1 stone, which also made Wei Hong directly determined. Chapter 778 Dingzhu comes to visit. After knowing the progress of the transformation of the 8 zombies, Wei Hong no longer paid attention to them. Fortunately, he had set up an extra formation outside the training room to conceal the breath in advance, otherwise the yin qi emitted by these zombies would have attracted the attention of others. At this time, Wei Hong suddenly took out a small flag from the storage bag and rubbed it slowly in his hand. This small flag was not the Wanhan banner, but a second-level top-grade spiritual weapon obtained from Xiaoming, named Qinjiao flag. It was an offensive spiritual weapon with good power. The reason why Wei Hong took out this Qinjiao flag was that although he successfully refined the Qinjiao flag, he could not fully exert the power of the Qinjiao flag. He had tested this many times and confirmed it. Alice, it seems that it is impossible to fully exert the power of these second-level top-grade spiritual weapons until the late stage of foundation building. Wei Hong sighed lightly, but was a little helpless. Because he was not at the late stage of foundation building, even if he barely refined the few second-grade high-quality spiritual tools he had obtained before, he could not fully exert the power of these spiritual tools. Only after he broke through to the late stage of foundation building could he perfectly control those second-grade high-quality spiritual tools. Of course, after breaking through to the 6th level of foundation building, even if he just barely refined a few second-grade high-quality spiritual tools, it was enough to greatly improve his overall strength. Now he was not afraid even when facing a perfect foundation-building cultivator. But Wei Hong was still a little dissatisfied, and he was thinking about how to break through to the late stage of foundation building as soon as possible. It was just because the current situation was quite turbulent. Although he had never left the fairy city in the past 3 years, he still had some understanding of the situation inside and outside the fairy city. The war between Kangshan Fairy City and the Blood Spirit sect had not really broken out, but the relationship between the two sides had long been like fire and water, just like a volcano ready to erupt, which could completely erupt at any time. Faced with such a situation, how could Wei Hong not have any sense of crisis in his heart? But now he couldn't really bring out the power of those second-level high-quality spiritual tools, which made him more and more uneasy. If he wanted to protect himself, he had to break through to the late stage of foundation building at least. Therefore, Wei Hong began to think quickly in his heart. It seems that I have to go out to buy some more elixirs. Without the help of elixirs, the speed of cultivation will indeed be much slower. Wei Hong had already made up his mind and was ready to purchase a batch of elixirs to improve his cultivation. He was not short of spiritual stones now, so buying a batch of elixirs was not a problem for him at all. But before he could go out, he noticed a slight fluctuation of spiritual power coming from outside. Sound transmission node? Who is it? Wei Hong frowned, waved his hand, opened a hole in the formation outside, and took the sound transmission node over. After receiving the sound transmission talisman, he immediately activated it, and then a familiar voice came out from it. Senior Wei, I am Dingzhu, the junior, and I hope you can show up to see me. Dingzhu? Is it her? Wei Hong was surprised. He didn't expect it to be this person. After knowing who the visitor was, he murmured to himself, since this person is visiting, I have to meet her. Dingzhu had helped him before, and he had borrowed Dingzhu's treasure hunting rat before, so when Dingzhu came to visit him, he had to meet her for both emotional and logical reasons. So Wei Hong immediately stood up and walked towards the door. After opening the door, he saw Dingzhu standing outside waiting. Wei Hong opened the formation with a wave of his hand, and then smiled and said, Haha, fellow Taoisting, it's been a long time since we last met. How are you these days? The moment Dingzhu saw Wei Hong appear, her eyes were full of surprise, and she immediately smiled happily and said, Hello, Senior Wei, everything is fine for me. I came to visit you today, I hope you don't mind. What's so strange about this? Come on, come in first. Wei Hong smiled and welcomed Dingzhu into the yard, then asked Dingzhu to sit down at the stone table in the yard, and poured her a cup of spiritual tea before sitting down. Thank you, senior. Dingzhu immediately thanked him after taking the teacup. Wei Hong waved his hand and said, "Fellow Taoisting, you and I have known each other for a long time, and we can be considered old friends. Although I am one step ahead on the road, you will catch up sooner or later. Therefore, there is no need to call me senior. You and I can still be friends of the same generation." Hearing this, Dingzhu seemed to be secretly relieved, and then laughed. Then I won't be polite. I thought that, fellow Taoist Wei, you are so famous now, and it would be difficult to meet you. Haha, fame and so on are just clouds, just empty names. Don't take them seriously. Fellow Taoisting, don't take it seriously. Wei Hong smiled faintly, and then said, "With our relationship, as long as fellow Taoist comes to the door, I will open the bed to welcome you. There is no reason not to see you." For Wei Hong, Dingzhu is definitely his longest time friend in the entire Kangshan Fairy City. Moreover, they have supported each other all the way from Kingayan Mountain Market. They have a special friendship and no conflict of interest with each other, so the two of them can indeed be considered to have known each other for a long time. Dingzhu looked at Wei Hong with gratitude, and then hesitated for a while, and said, "Fellow Taoist Wei, I came to visit you today because I have something to ask for. I hope you can lend me a hand." Wei Hong naturally knew that Dingzhu must have come for something, so he smiled and said, "Fellow Taoisting, you may as well speak frankly. As long as I can help, I will do my best." Dingzhu then began to explain, "Fellow Taoist Wei, this is the case. I have now cultivated to the peak of key training, and am also preparing to build a foundation. This time I came to you for this matter. I would like to ask you to protect me and ensure that I can successfully build a foundation." After that, Dingzhu looked at Wei Hong with an expectant look. However, Wei Hong was very surprised. He immediately frowned and asked, "Protector? Fellow Taoisting, building a foundation is a good thing and a very important matter. Since you are ready, why do you need someone to protect you? Aren't you going to retreat in the city to break through?" He immediately thought of the key point, and his expression became serious. Dingzhu naturally knew that Wei Hong could definitely think of it, so she nodded with a tense face and explained, "Yes, to be honest, fellow Taoist, the technique I practice is inherited from my ancestors, and it is somewhat special. According to the experience passed down by my ancestors, people who practice my technique will cause a big phenomenon in the world when they break through to the foundation building stage. Therefore, I naturally dare not retreat in the city to break through, so as not to attract the prying eyes of others. That's why I want to ask fellow Taoist to help protect you." Obviously, since Dingzhu was not going to retreat in the city to break through, she must go outside the city, otherwise she would not need Wei Hong's protection. After listening to this, Wei Hong did not give an immediate reply, but instead pondered with a serious expression. After a moment, he asked in a deep voice, "Fellow Taoisting, do you know the current situation outside the city?" Chapter 779, Protecting the Way and Building the Foundation. After Wei Hong asked that question, the atmosphere in the entire yard seemed to become solemn. Dingzhu's pretty face was tense. She nodded solemnly and said, "I know what fellow Taoist Wei said. The situation outside the city is turbulent now, and the relationship between the Blood Spirit sect and the Kangshan Immortal City is also very tense. I am clear about this, but in order to build my foundation, I can only choose to go outside the city. If I retreat in the city to break through, once the foundation is successfully built, the strange phenomena of heaven and earth emitted will definitely attract the prying eyes of a large number of cultivators. Then I will be exposed to the side of other people, which I absolutely cannot accept. Therefore, I can only ask fellow Taoist Wei for help. Not only do you have to protect me, but you also need to protect me to get out of the city safely. Of course, I also know that this is a bit excessive. Therefore, if fellow Taoist Wei has any conditions, you can just say it. As long as it is something I can do, I will never regret it. Even if I can't pay it back now, I can pay it back after I build my foundation." Dingzhu's face was full of determination and decisiveness. It was obvious that she had made all preparations for building her foundation, and she had an unshakable firm belief. Even if she owed a huge favor to someone for it, she would complete the foundation building. Wei Hong was also moved by Dingzhu's firm belief at this time. From Dingzhu, he once again saw the hardships of being a casual cultivator, as well as her firm determination to pursue the Great Way, which were quite similar to him. He pondered for a moment, then asked again, "Fellow Taoisting, Since you have decided to go outside the city to build your foundation, are you ready? What is the success rate of building your foundation? Upon hearing this, Dingzhu immediately replied without hesitation, "Of course I'm ready. I have spent all my fortune this time and also obtained a foundation building pill. Combined with my family's ancestral skills, I am 70% sure that I can complete the foundation building." 70%. Wei Hong repeated softly, and then he no longer hesitated. He nodded and said in a deep voice, "Okay, since fellow Taoisting is so confident in building his foundation, then I will naturally lend a helping hand. Fellow Taoisting, just leave the matter of protecting the law to me. I will never let anyone disturb fellow Taoisting's foundation building. As for the rest, there is no need to mention it. This is also to repay the favor you did before." He spoke very straightforwardly and confidently. Obviously, he had great confidence in his duty as the guardian of Dingzhu. The reason why he agreed was not only because he was moved by Dingzhu's firm belief, but also because Dingzhu had lent him the treasure-hunting rat without hesitation, which was a favor he owed to her. Although he could have successfully established his foundation without the treasure-hunting rat, the spiritual spring found by the treasure-hunting rat undoubtedly added a lot of help to his success in establishing his foundation. Therefore, Wei Hong had to repay this favor. Now that Dingzhu had made this request, it was impossible for him to refuse it. When Dingzhu heard that Wei Hong really agreed, her face immediately showed joy and excitement, and then she said gratefully, thank you for your help, I am grateful. If you have any instructions in the future, I will do my best to help you." Wei Hong waved his hand and said indifferently, "Ding Dao, there is no need to be so polite. Since you are ready, I wonder when you are ready to leave." Seeing Wei Hong so straightforward, Dingzhu tried to ask, "Why not leave in 3 days? What do you think, Wei Dao?" "Okay, no problem, then meet in front of the East City Gate in 3 days." Wei Hong naturally had no objection and agreed directly. Dingzhu was overjoyed, and after telling him something else, she said goodbye and left. Seeing Dingzhu's departing figure, Wei Hong's eyes looked very deep, but he secretly sighed in his heart, "Alice, I wanted to continue to practice in seclusion to see if I could break through to the late stage of foundation building as soon as possible, but I didn't expect that plans would never change as fast as changes." Dingzhu's request was indeed a bit sudden for him, but he couldn't refuse it. Even though the situation outside the city was turbulent and a war could break out at any time, it still couldn't stop Dingzhu's actions. Wei Hong also knew that the foundation building matter was extremely important. If Dingzhu hadn't been well prepared, or even couldn't delay it any longer, she would never choose to go out at this time. In this case, he could only try his best to help Dingzhu get through this. Leaving the fairy city at this time, it seems that I have to be prepared too. Wei Hong sighed lightly and turned back to the practice room. Looking at the 8 silver corpses buried in the ground, his eyes flickered slightly. After thinking about it, he didn't take them out immediately, but sat cross-legged on the golden silk cushion again. This time Dingzhu chose to retreat outside the city to break through. Maybe the strange phenomena in the world will be huge. At that time, let alone monsters, it is possible that some evil cultivators of the blood spirit sect will be attracted. I must be careful on this trip. Sitting on the futon, Wei Hong thought secretly in his heart. He must take the 8 silver corpses buried beside him with him. With the help of these 8 silver corpses, he will not be in danger of life even if he encounters the siege of the evil cultivators of the blood spirit sect, unless the other party sends out a master of the golden core stage. Since he has to take these 8 silver corpses with him, buying a corpse storage bag has become a matter that must be solved immediately. He thought about it and searched in the storage bag for a while. The paper figurines and self-destructing talismans have been replenished a lot, and 2 sets of the formation flags of the 6 Absolute Blue Thunder formation have been refined. There is also a set of formation flags for each of the other formations. I think it should be enough. After counting the things he can show off now, Wei Hong felt much more relieved. With these things, plus the 8 silver corpses, he still had a lot of confidence in this trip, and the slight uneasiness in his heart was relieved a lot. It's just that this time when I leave Kangshan Xiancheng, I must not show up in my original appearance. Wei Hong suddenly thought of the fact that he was rewarded by the blood spirit sect, so he thought secretly in his heart, I must change my appearance. I have to tell Dingzhu about this matter first, so that she won't reveal anything without knowing it in advance. Also, the fact that I left Xiancheng must not be leaked, so that the people of the blood spirit sect will not get the news. Wei Hong didn't want to be surrounded by the evil cultivators of the blood spirit sect as soon as he left Xiancheng, so he not only had to change his appearance, but also made sure that the news of his leaving Xiancheng would never be known by a third person. He thought carefully and came up with an idea, so he immediately stood up and walked out the door. He quickly left Dangwon Pavilion and came to Bao Kixuan. This time he changed his appearance again, and specifically asked to buy 2 large corpse storage bags. After getting them, he paid the spirit stones very quickly. After getting the body bag, Wei Hong first went to Dingzu's residence and secretly gave her a few instructions, and then returned to Dangwon Pavilion. This time, he directly dug out all 8 silver corpses from underground and put them into the body bag. Finally, Wei Hong changed his appearance and quietly left Dangwon Pavilion. Chapter 780, Shantou Ring Thunder Array. 3 days later, a yellow stream of light streaked through the air and flew quickly towards the Qianling Mountains. The yellow stream of light came from the flying sword controlled by Wei Hong. He had now become a strong man with a full beard, and only showed the aura of the early stage of foundation building. He did not dare to use his Bikuan sword. There was another person on the flying sword, and it was Dingzu. Dingzu had not yet broken through to the foundation building stage and could not fly on the sword, so Wei Hong took her with him and quickly approached the destination according to her instructions. "Fellow Taoisting, are you sure there is no problem with the place you chose?" Wei Hong asked Dingzu on the flying sword. Dingzu answered very affirmatively, "It should be no problem. This is the location I repeatedly explored several times before choosing. There is a small spiritual vein there, which is enough to support me to complete the foundation building. The most important thing is that it is not far from the edge of the Qianling Mountains. Even if I cause a big phenomenon in the world when I break through the foundation building, it should not attract too powerful monsters." Seeing Dingzu so confident, Wei Hong nodded and said nothing more. Soon, he and Dingzu arrived above the destination. Wei Hong was able to confirm that no one was following them along the way. After leaving the city, he was also very smooth and did not encounter any evil cultivators. This also made him secretly relieved. "Fellow Taoisting, is this the place?" Wei Hong asked with a slight frown. Dingzu first looked down carefully, and then replied, "It is indeed here, fellow Taoist Wei, let's go down, it's in that small valley." Wei Hong nodded and flew straight down to the small valley below. The area within a radius of 10 miles here is all hilly, and there are not many tall trees, mainly some low shrubs. It seems that the view is quite open. There is a small valley in the middle of the 3 hills. This valley can be seen at a glance as long as you look down from mid-air, without any obstruction at all. After going down to the valley, Dingzu immediately said to Wei Hong, "Dao Wei, I have already dug a secret room for retreat in advance. The secret room is close to the spiritual vein and deep in the valley. Let's go." "No hurry, Dao Outing, wait for me for a moment." Wei Hong stretched out his hand to stop Dingzu. After looking around, he said, "Let me take a look at the surrounding environment first." Dingzu naturally trusted Wei Hong very much, and immediately stood there waiting. Wei Hong flew up again and quickly explored the surroundings of the valley. He found that there was indeed nothing wrong with the place chosen by Dingzu, but it was not hidden enough and could be easily discovered. So he turned to Dingzu and said, "Dao Outing, I guess you should have prepared a set of formations before." "Of course there is. I believe Dao Wei can see that this place has a wide field of vision and is not a secret place at all. If there is no formation to cover it, I dare not retreat here to break through." Dingzu nodded and admitted, "In that case, keep the formation you prepared. I also have 2 sets of formations, which can be used." Wei Hong chuckled and took out 2 sets of thick formation flags from the storage bag. Dingzu's face flashed with surprise, and she immediately smiled and said, "Then I won't be polite with you, fellow Taoist." "Okay, no need to be polite, fellow Taoist, go and prepare first, I will set up the formation and then go over." Wei Hong smiled and waved his hand, holding the formation flags, and walked directly to the outside of the valley. Seeing this, Dingzu walked into the depths of the valley with confidence. Wei Hong first scanned the surroundings with his spiritual sense, and after confirming that there were no cultivators or monsters, he continuously shot out the formation flags in his hand, and nailed all the formation flags in special positions. In less than half a cup of tea, he had quickly arranged the 2 formations. One of the 2 formations is the illusionary Skynet formation, which is used to transform the surrounding environment and make the valley look normal. Even if someone flies low over the valley, there is no problem as long as the divine sense is not used to carefully investigate. In addition, this illusionary skynet formation can also conceal the breath and spiritual power fluctuations. Before Dingzhu completes the breakthrough, any breath and fluctuations will not be leaked. The other is the Xiandu Ring Thunder formation, which is an offensive formation. The reason for setting up this formation is just to prevent cultivators or monsters from accidentally breaking into the valley. This is also a layer of protection. As for why the 6 Absolute Blue Thunder formation is not arranged, it is because the arrangement of the 6 Absolute Blue Thunder formation requires 6 paper figures to attack at the same time. Now that no monster has appeared, there is no need to be so troublesome. After arranging the 2 formations and activating them directly, Wei Hong came to the depths of the valley. Under the rock wall deep in the valley, there is a cave entrance that is slightly higher than a person. This passage must be the passage leading to the secret room mentioned by Dingzhu, but Dingzhu did not enter the secret room, but waited at the door. "Dao Wei, have you set up the formation?" Seeing Wei Hong coming in, Dingzhu asked with concern. Wei Hong nodded and said with a smile, "Of course, Dao Ding, don't worry. Dao Wei's attainments in the formation make me feel more at ease. Let's go, Dao Wei, let's go in and take a look first." Dingzhu smiled and pointed to the entrance of the cave. Wei Hong shook his head and refused, explaining, "There is no need to go in. Dao Ding can go in and prepare by yourself. I will be in the valley to protect you and will be able to respond to anything immediately." In fact, he had already scanned it with his spiritual sense and had no interest in the secret room inside. What's more, he came to protect Dingzhu this time, so he didn't need to enter the secret room at all. Instead, it was safest to stay in the valley. No matter what happened outside or what accidents occurred, he could detect it and respond immediately. Seeing this, Dingzhu knew that Wei Hong had his own ideas, so she stopped persuading him, nodded and said, "Okay, then I'll leave everything to you, fellow Taoist. Don't worry, fellow Taoisting, just focus on building your foundation. I promise that no one will disturb you." Wei Hong smiled confidently and made his promise to Dingzhu. Dingzhu naturally believed it very much. She had witnessed Wei Hong's journey from a key training cultivator to where he is now, and she had great confidence in Wei Hong's current strength and reputation, otherwise she would not have chosen to ask him to protect her. So Dingzhu nodded to Wei Hong, turned around and walked into the secret room. After Wei Hong saw Dingzhu enter the secret room, he turned around and came to the center of the valley. He looked around, waved his hand and released a flying sword, then controlled the flying sword to quickly cut on the rock wall next to the valley, and soon cut out dozens of 3-foot square stones. Then he used these stones to build a stone house in the center of the valley, so that he had a place to live. At this time, Wei Hong looked up at the sky and said secretly in his heart, "I hope there won't be any accidents this time." Chapter 781 or a Storm. After entering the secret room, Dingzhu never appeared again. Wei Hong didn't care. He knew that Dingzhu must be in seclusion now to adjust her state, and then when her body and mind reached the best state, she would swallow the foundation building pill and really start to build her foundation. Before that, there was actually not much to worry about. And he believed that Dingzhu had made all the preparations, and there was no need for him to say anything more. Now he just needed to pay attention to the situation outside at all times to ensure that no one or any monster would disturb Dingzhu's seclusion. In order to be foolproof, Wei Hong even sent out all 6 paper figures, letting them lurk around and monitor all kinds of movements within a radius of 20 miles at all times. In this way, he could ensure that no matter what situation or any accident occurred, he would be able to detect it and respond in the first time to avoid disturbing Dingzhu. Wei Hong was sitting cross-legged in the stone house with his eyes closed. Deep in his heart, he was secretly thinking, "I don't know how long it will take Dingzhu to break through this time. I hope it won't take too long, otherwise it will be easy to change." Fortunately, this place is not far from the edge of the mountain. Even if Dingzhu's breakthrough makes a lot of noise, it shouldn't attract too many monsters and cultivators. Although Wei Hong was confident that he could protect Dingzhu from being disturbed by anyone, he didn't dare to be careless at all, fearing that some unforeseen troubles would arise, so he needed to make more preparations. 6 paper figures were lurking outside the valley, and they could set up the 6 Absolute Blue Thunder formation at any time. In this way, as long as there were no giant and stage masters, or more than 10 foundation building cultivators did not attack at the same time, he didn't have to worry about any problems. After all, he still had 8 silver corpses on him, and he could resist multiple foundation-building cultivators when necessary. Now, Wei Hong only needed to wait quietly for Dingzhu to complete her foundation building. In this way, time began to slowly pass. 3 days. 7 days. Half a month. In the blink of an eye, more than half a month passed. On this day, Wei Hong, who was staying outside the stone house, suddenly opened his eyes. It was because he sensed that the spiritual energy of the world around him began to fluctuate abnormally. The spiritual energy of the world not only became active, but also gathered towards the depths of the valley. Soon, a spiritual energy storm formed outside the secret room, and a large amount of spiritual energy from the world continued to pour into the secret room. As it started, Wei Hong frowned slightly and muttered softly. Seeing this scene, he knew that Dingzhu had obviously begun to build her foundation. Fortunately, he had set up a formation in advance. Although the spiritual energy fluctuations in the valley were abnormally obvious at this time, they were all blocked by the illusionary Skynet formation, and no fluctuations leaked out. Despite this, Wei Hong still quietly released his spiritual consciousness and carefully explored all the movements around him. After finding that there was nothing abnormal, he turned his eyes to the direction of the secret room where Dingzhu was. At this time, the spiritual energy of the world in the valley continued to gather and pour down towards the secret room, but it seemed to have encountered a bottomless pit. There was no reaction after the spiritual energy was poured into the secret room. However, Wei Hong used his spiritual sense to carefully observe that Dingzhu's aura was slowly increasing. As she continued to absorb and refine a large amount of heaven and earth spiritual energy, her aura would sooner or later break through the limit of the peak of the key training stage, and then she would enter the foundation building stage. However, the fact that her aura reached the foundation building stage did not mean that Dingzhu had truly completed the breakthrough. Only when she had built the foundation of the Tao and stabilized it, did it mean that Dingzhu had truly completed the breakthrough and reached the foundation building stage. I hope everything goes well, fellow Taoisting, don't let me down. Looking at the direction where Dingzhu was, Wei Hong muttered to himself. Wei Hong naturally could not help with the breakthrough process. All he could do was to ensure that Dingzhu was not disturbed by anything. As for whether Dingzhu could complete the breakthrough, it all depended on her personal luck and opportunity. So he closed his eyes again and quietly waited for the arrival of the final moment. Time began to slowly pass, and the heaven and earth spiritual energy in the valley became more and more active. At this time, 3 days had passed since Dingzhu officially started to build her foundation. During these 3 days, no unexpected situations occurred, and no monsters or cultivators appeared around. Most importantly, because of the formation, all the movements in the valley were not leaked out. Wei Hong had already walked out of the stone house and came to the valley. He looked at the increasingly rich spiritual energy in the valley, and his face became a little solemn. He said to himself, it should be about time. I think we will know whether it will succeed in the next 2 days. Since it was almost the last moment, he naturally did not dare to neglect it. Although he did not release his spiritual consciousness all the time, with the help of the 6 paper figures he sent out, he still had a very detailed control of the surrounding environment, and he was also ready to take action at any time. As expected, half a day later, the spiritual energy of heaven and earth above the secret room suddenly changed. The spiritual energy storm, which was originally more than 10 feet high, began to rotate rapidly at this time, and the closer it was to the secret room below, the faster the spiritual energy rotated. In this way, the spiritual energy storm gradually turned into a long funnel that was thick at the top and narrow at the bottom. Moreover, this funnel was still rotating rapidly, and a large amount of spiritual energy from heaven and earth was constantly pouring down from the funnel. Seeing this scene, Wei Hong's expression suddenly condensed, and then he murmured, "Sure enough, this is the beginning of the foundation of Taoism, right?" He had experienced this step before, so he knew that this step required a lot of spiritual energy from heaven and earth. It was precisely because of this that it caused such a huge change in the spiritual energy outside. At this time, Dingzhu's body was like a bottomless pit. No matter how much spiritual energy from heaven and earth poured down, it could be absorbed into her body and quickly refined, and then slowly condensed into her own foundation of Taoism. As long as Dingzhu completely condensed her foundation of Taoism, it meant that she had completely entered the realm of foundation building. At this point, Wei Hong no longer needed to pay attention to Dingzhu's movements, because success or failure was in Dingzhu's hands, and according to what he saw, He knew that Dingzhu was very likely to succeed in building the foundation this time. From now on, the test will really come. Wei Hong sighed lightly, and his expression became completely solemn. Gradually, as time went by, the funnel formed by the spiritual energy of heaven and earth became larger and larger, and even the formation arranged by Wei Hong could no longer block it. The spiritual energy within a radius of dozens of miles was also stirred up and began to gather rapidly towards the valley. At the same time, just above the secret room, a gorgeous and dazzling golden spiritual flower suddenly appeared. This spiritual flower was completely condensed by the spiritual energy of heaven and earth, and the shape of the spiritual flower resembled an epiphyllum, but it was golden all over. The most important thing was that at the moment when the golden spiritual flower condensed in the sky, a faint fragrance was emitted and quickly spread to the surroundings. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelis. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 782, Flying Purple Striped Scorpion? Sure enough, this heaven and earth phenomenon is indeed unusual. Looking at the strange phenomenon in the sky, Wei Hong's face also looked a little solemn. Although Dingzhu had already announced this matter before setting off, he was still a little surprised after seeing the movement of the heaven and earth phenomenon. At the same time, he also realized the seriousness of the matter. This celestial phenomenon is so shocking, and the movement is so huge. I am afraid that all the cultivators and monsters within 100 miles will be alarmed. It seems that the next trouble should be not small. Wei Hong frowned and looked outside the valley. His vigilance had already been raised. After a moment, he said secretly with a stern look, "Sure enough." Through the exploration of the paper man, he knew that there were two foundation-building monsters approaching this side quickly in the east of the valley. Soon, Wei Hong's spiritual sense found the traces of the two monsters in the east. Two green-backed wolves in the middle stage of foundation building. The moment he found the two monsters, he saw the details of the monsters. Those were two blue-backed wolves that had reached the middle stage of foundation building. They looked aggressive, their eyes seemed to be red, and even contained a trace of greed. But before Wei Hong could react, the paper man warned from the north and west at the same time. It turned out that several foundation-building monsters appeared in these two directions at the same time. Wei Hong also quickly noticed the two waves of monsters approaching quickly. Flying Purple Striped Scorpion. Eight-legged Demon Lizard. After seeing the appearance of the two waves of monsters with his spiritual sense, Wei Hong couldn't help but be slightly surprised. The one coming from the north was the Flying Purple Striped Scorpion in the middle stage of foundation building. The shell of this monster was very hard, it was also poisonous, and it could fly. Most cultivators in the middle stage of foundation building didn't dare to provoke it, but this time there were three of them. The monster coming from the west was called the Eight-legged Demon Lizard. It was more than 2 feet long, with 8 huge feet under its belly, and it looked like a lizard. Its realm was also in the middle stage of foundation building. There were only 2 of them, but this monster was famous for its thick skin and flesh, and it was very difficult to deal with. In a short moment, in addition to the south near Kangshan Ferry City, the valley where Wei Hong was located was besieged by monsters from 3 directions, and the encirclement was about to be formed. Obviously, these monsters must have been attracted by the strange phenomenon of heaven and earth that appeared in the sky, especially the golden spiritual flower that was extremely eye-catching and exuded a faint fragrance. I am afraid that the monsters thought that some strange treasure was about to be born, otherwise how could their eyes turn red? The monsters from the 3 directions soon came to the outside of the valley and were about to rush into the valley with great momentum. However, these monsters were all blocked by the formation. For a while, they could not break through the formation immediately, and could only roar anxiously and bombard the light curtain formed by the formation. Wei Hong frowned, but did not take action immediately. It was because he suddenly sensed that there were 4 strong auras approaching rapidly in the south. Obviously, the 4 auras should belong to 4 foundation-building monks. It is unknown whether they just happened to meet or were originally nearby and were attracted by the strange phenomenon here. The 4 foundation-building monks soon came to the sky above the valley. They looked at the valley surrounded by the formation and saw the monsters that were attracted. One of the middle-aged men in black robes laughed ecstatically. "Haha, brothers, we are destined to make a fortune today. We just came out and met someone building a foundation here. As long as we capture the people in the valley, we will definitely get a good harvest. And there are so many foundation building monsters attracted here. These are all rare monster materials. Haha, not bad. The middle-aged man in black robes could tell at a glance that someone was building a foundation here, not some rare treasure. However, the arrogant attitude of this man also made Wei Hong's eyes instantly cold, because he had seen the details of the person who came. These 4 cultivators were clearly robbers who specialized in killing and robbing people. From the aura they exuded, one could sense a hint of cruelty and bloodiness. They looked like bad people. The words of the middle-aged man in the lead confirmed his guess. Among these 4 people, in addition to the middle-aged man in black robe, there was also a young man in blood-red robe. He had a pale face and a handsome appearance, but he looked like a feminine woman. The third person was a burly man with disheveled hair. He was wearing animal skins and had bulging muscles. It seemed that his body was very good. The last person was a young man with an ordinary appearance, but he had a very long scar on his face. The scar on his face spread from the right corner of his forehead to the left corner of his mouth, and crossed his right eye and nose in the middle, which looked very ferocious. These 4 people had different clothes, but the aura they revealed was all sinister and fierce. And these 4 robbers did not seem to have any intention of hiding anything. Wei Hong immediately sensed their true cultivation. Except for the black-robed man who was a late-stage foundation-building cultivator, the other 3 were all mid-stage foundation-building cultivators. After hearing what the black-robed man said, the sturdy man in animal skins beside him immediately echoed and laughed. Haha, what the boss said is right, we are really lucky, we just came out and encountered such a good thing, haha. The red-robed man also smiled sinisterly at this time and said, boss, do you think we should clean up those monsters first, or directly blast the formation and let the people inside fail in foundation building? The scarred man seemed very confident, and said coldly with a blank expression, why bother so much, why not do it together? At this time, because of the obstruction of the formation, the 4 robber cultivators outside did not notice Wei Hong's existence. But Wei Hong actually heard the conversation between the 4 people, but he did not show any anger, but his eyes were filled with an unconcealable coldness, looking at the 4 robber cultivators as if looking at 4 dead people. Before the 4 men made a decision, Wei Hong sneered loudly, indeed, why bother so much? You 4 can die with those monsters, and it will save me some trouble. At this time, he no longer wanted to delay any longer. In a short period of time, 4 robber cultivators and about 7 or 8 foundation-building monsters appeared. If he delayed any longer, he didn't know how many cultivators would covet him. Therefore, he had to fight quickly and get rid of these 4 robber cultivators and those monsters as soon as possible. As soon as he finished speaking, he quickly made hand gestures. After hearing Wei Hong's sudden words, the 4 robber cultivators outside were slightly startled at first. They didn't expect that there were other cultivators in the valley. Then they became furious in an instant because Wei Hong was even more arrogant than the 4 of them. But before the 4 men in black robes could speak, something unexpected happened around them. Buzz! A very wide green light curtain rose up instantly. Chapter 783, Killing and Robbing the Cultivators. Something unexpected happened. The green light curtain directly covered the area within 100 feet of the valley, including the 4 robbers in the air and the monsters outside. Seeing this unexpected change, the black-robed man's face suddenly changed and he screamed, "Formation? No, this person has been prepared for it. Let's quickly break through the formation outside the valley and kill the man inside first." It must be said that the black-robed man not only reacted very quickly, but also made the right choice. At present, the large formation outside has been completely activated. It is not easy for them to leave. Therefore, he chose to break through the formation light curtain covering the valley first, and then kill Wei Hong first. As long as they can successfully kill Wei Hong, they naturally don't need to worry about the influence of the formation outside on them. Before he finished speaking, the black-robed man controlled a black flying knife to fly towards the valley, and at the same time, he immediately pinched his hands to condense a giant spear and threw the spear down fiercely. "No, brothers, this is a tough one, hurry up and do it. You're looking for death, you dare to set up a formation to surround us, then I'll send you to death first. How dare you, come and die." The 3 people, the beast-skinned strong man and the scarred man, reacted quickly. When they saw the light curtain of the formation, they first shouted and cursed loudly, and then followed a black-robed man and attacked the valley. Even the foundation building monsters in the other three directions seemed to realize that something was wrong. The three flying purple-striped scorpions turned around and flew away, as if they wanted to break through the green light curtain and leave this place. The other two eight-legged demon lizards and two blue-backed wolves roared in anger, raised their claws and grabbed the formation covering the valley. For a while, with the appearance of the six absolute blue thunder formation, both the robbers and the monsters responded differently, and it was obvious that they didn't want to be trapped here. This six absolutes green thunder formation was set up by Wei Hong, who controlled the six paper figures outside to activate the formation flags. Since the enemies have all gathered outside the valley, in order to quickly resolve the battle, he naturally has to use all his means to deal with them properly. Seeing the black-robed man and others begin to bombard the Cheyenne ring thunder formation, Wei Hong smiled coldly, first touched the two black corpse storage bags on his waist, and with a flash of spiritual light, 8 silver corpses with somewhat hideous appearances immediately appeared in front of him. Go, kill them. Wei Hong's tone was cold, and he stretched out his hand and pointed at the 4 black-robed men. In an instant, the 8 silver corpses immediately formed a group of 2, each of which rushed towards the 4 black-robed men at a rapid speed, and they also carried strong yin and evil spirits. Not only that, after sending out the 8 silver corpses, Wei Hong immediately pinched his hands together, and the spiritual power in his body surged wildly. In less than 3 breaths, 3 thick green vines like dragons broke out of the ground and immediately entangled the 4 black-robed men fiercely. The 4 men in black robes also saw the 8 silver corpses that suddenly appeared at the first time. His expression changed drastically, and he couldn't help but exclaimed, "Silver corpses? And there are 8 of them." At this moment, the man in black robe had already regretted it in his heart. Apart from other things, the 8 silver corpses alone were not something they could contend with, not to mention the cultivator in the valley who could refine 8 silver corpses. I'm afraid they really kicked the iron plate this time. If he had known this, the man in black robe would never come to join in the fun. Hurry up, it will be too late if you don't leave now. The man in black robe realized that something was wrong the moment he saw the 8 silver corpses, and immediately wanted to escape, so he immediately shouted to remind his 3 brothers, and then turned around and ran away without hesitation. The other 3 robbery cultivators were also scared when they saw the 8 zombies running towards them, that their faces changed drastically. At this time, they didn't care about bombarding the formation, and immediately fled in the direction they came from. Although the scarred man and his 2 companions were confident, as robbery cultivators, they were all very self-aware and well-versed in the way of self-preservation. Seeing that things were impossible, they naturally decided to escape. They knew how powerful the silver corpse was. Not only was it invulnerable to swords and guns, but it also carried a strong evil spirit. Ordinary foundation building cultivators could not deal with such a silver corpse at all. Want to leave? Don't you think it's too late? Wei Hong smiled coldly and immediately pointed his finger. The 3 dragon-like green vines not only blocked their way, but also whipped them down fiercely, with a strong whistling sound, which was extremely shocking. Not only that, as Wei Hong pointed his finger, a stream of green light shot towards the scarred man, as fast as lightning. After doing this, he took out the 10,000 souls banner from his storage bag, and then threw it gently. The 10,000 souls banner immediately rose in the wind, and the flag fluttered automatically without wind, and bursts of powerful yin energy also emanated. Go. Wei Hong made hand gestures and pointed in the direction of the 8-legged demon lizard and the blue-backed wolf. In an instant, hundreds of ghosts flew out of the 10,000 souls banner, and then split into 2 groups and roared towards the monsters in 2 directions, raising a rolling dark cloud. The 4 men in black robes saw that they were blocked by 3 extremely thick green vines, and they were very anxious, so they cast spells and controlled flying knives and flying swords to cut the green vines, but those flying swords could only leave a shallow mark on the green vines and could not cut the green vines at all. Huh? Exclamation mark. The 3 dragon-like green vines roared and entangled and whipped the 4 men in black robes. They were forced to dodge, and then they slowly landed on the ground under the pressure of the green vines. At this time, 8 silver corpses just came to kill them. No, boss, we must not be surrounded by those silver corpses. This scarred man didn't have any of his previous confidence at this time, and his expression was full of horror and despair. But before he could finish his words, a stream of green light suddenly pierced him from behind. Old Third, be careful. The black-robed man on the opposite side saw the scene and his face changed drastically, and he hurriedly shouted a warning. The scarred man also sensed the danger at this time. His face was pale, and he had no time to think about it. First, a layer of spiritual power shield appeared on his body, and then a yellow shield flew out of his arms, firmly protecting his back. But at this time, a cold voice suddenly came from the air: suppress. Kingpin sealing technique. At this moment, the scarred man actually felt that the spiritual power in his body suddenly stagnated. This discovery immediately made the scarred man's heart beat wildly, and his expression became desperate. Help! Before he could completely shout for help, the green sword light took advantage of the moment when the spiritual power in the scarred man's body was sealed and directly bypassed the shield. Puff! The green flying sword just circled the scarred man's neck gently, and a good head fell to the ground instantly. Chapter 784 The Power of the Silver Corpse. Puff! Blood spurted from the scarred man's neck to a height of more than 3 feet. The head that fell to the ground had eyes full of despair and unwillingness. The 3 men in black robes were all shocked when they saw this scene. They were extremely angry and felt a chill at the same time. Dao, we have no intention of offending you. This is all a misunderstanding. I hope you will show mercy and let us go. The man in black robe was terrified and couldn't help but beg Wei Hong for mercy. The man in red robe and the man in animal skin looked ugly. They looked at the man in black robe tacitly, but didn't dare to say anything more. They just looked at Wei Hong with eyes full of vigilance and anger. Wei Hong was too lazy to talk nonsense with him. He waved his hand and said, "Misunderstanding? Then you can talk to my silver corpse." The 8 silver corpses surrounded and killed him instantly, especially the 2 most powerful ones. Under Wei Hong's control, they went straight to the man in black robe, obviously not going to give them any chance to escape. Kill! Seeing that Wei Hong did not give them any room at all, the black-robed man could only shout with an ugly face. Whoosh! The black flying knife flew out directly, and at the same time he immediately condensed 2 giant spears and threw them out fiercely. Clang! The flying knife chopped the silver corpse in front, but it only made a muffled sound, but it could not stop the silver corpse's advance at all. The same was true for the 2 spears that followed, and they could not break the bodies of the 2 silver corpses. The black-robed man actually did not intend to fight to the death here. After releasing the flying knife, he immediately flew up on his sword, wanting to break through the green vine's obstruction and escape directly from here. For this purpose, he also threw out dozens of various talismans. Under a violent explosion and various flashes of spiritual light, a green vine was actually blown into 2 pieces by him. But before the black-robed man showed a look of joy on his face, he suddenly saw a large dark cloud appearing in the sky above his head. Boom! At the moment when the green vine broke, before the black-robed man could fly away, hundreds of green lightning bolts fell from the dark clouds above, covering the black-robed man's head. Ah! The black-robed man was shocked, and it was too late to turn around. Boom! The dense green lightning bolts kept hitting the black-robed man. Even though he had multiple layers of shields on his body, they were broken one by one under the continuous bombardment of the green lightning. Only the last layer of golden shield was still struggling to support. The black-robed man was also hit directly to the ground by the dense green lightning bolts. At this time, the 2 silver corpses did not rush up for the time being because they were afraid of lightning. They could only stop aside and wait with their teeth bared, staring at the black-robed man. On the other side, the other 2 robber cultivators were each targeted by 3 silver corpses, and Wei Hong was responsible for restraining them from leaving the ground. The red-robed man and the animal-skinned man were extremely anxious, but under the siege of the 3 silver corpses, their previous methods were useless. Neither the spiritual tools nor the talismans could hurt the silver corpses, and they were repeatedly injured under the siege of the silver corpses. The next moment, as the last layer of the golden shield on the black-robed man was completely shattered, the green lightning in the air suddenly stopped, as if it had never appeared. The 2 silver corpses who had been eyeing them covetously could not bear it anymore, and immediately pounced on the black-robed man. Get out of here! The black-robed man roared wildly, and a flying knife and a black token were fiercely sacrificed. Bang bang! But the 2 silver corpses were extremely flexible, and they just dodged the bombardment of the flying knife and the token by lightly moving to the side, and then raised their black claws and grabbed the black-robed man fiercely. No! The black-robed man didn't expect that the 2 silver corpses could dodge this spiritual weapon. He didn't react for a while, and he didn't have time to make more responses. He could only watch the silver corpse's claws fall fiercely. Puff. Ah. Under the terrifying claws of the two silver corpses, the black-robed man only had time to let out a shrill scream, and then his body was instantly torn into dozens of blood clots of different sizes, and the blood instantly spilled all over the ground. The black-robed man's shrill scream also made the remaining two robber cultivators completely desperate. They each took out their own trump cards in desperation. The red-robed man took out a green round bead as big as a walnut from his storage bag, and then gritted his teeth and threw it at the three silver corpses. Boom. As soon as it approached the three silver corpses, the green round bead suddenly exploded, and then turned into a group of extremely hot green flames, instantly covering the three silver corpses. Taking this opportunity, the red-robed man immediately flew up on his sword, and at the same time, he did not forget to throw dozens of talismans in the direction of Wei Hong, trying to delay Wei Hong. However, he forgot the fate of the black-robed man, and saw that the next moment, dense green thunder fell straight down from the air. Ah! A scream followed, and under the bombardment of dense green thunder, the red-robed man could not hold on for long and was directly blasted to pieces, without even a fragment left. Now, the four robber cultivators were left with only the strong man in animal skin. Seeing his brothers fall one after another, the strong man also knew that he had offended someone he shouldn't have offended, but now begging for mercy was useless, and all he could do was fight hard. The strong man in animal skin suddenly tore the animal skin on his body, revealing his strong upper body. At this time, as the sturdy monk muttered something, mysterious and profound red lines quickly appeared on his upper body. Under the stimulation of spiritual power, those red lines slowly protruded from the surface of the sturdy man like meridians. The sturdy monk himself also became larger, and the aura of the whole person directly increased by a large amount. Ha! At this time, the sturdy man, like a giant beast, suddenly raised his fist and hammered the silver corpses beside him. Bang bang! The two silver corpses were actually hammered away. However, the next moment, the silver corpses stood up again as if nothing had happened and continued to attack the sturdy man, as if the sturdy man's methods still had little effect. Seeing this scene, the sturdy monk's eyes were already full of despair. Ah! Knowing that he could not escape, the sturdy man began to attack the silver corpses frantically, and he kept bombarding the three silver corpses with his flesh. Bang bang bang! Boom boom boom! The huge momentum accompanied by the fierce sound lifted up pieces of land. However, under the siege of the three silver corpses, even with the help of secret techniques to improve his cultivation and physical body, the strong man monk still could not resist the attack of the silver corpses, and various injuries continued to appear on his body. After a moment, the strong man's huge body fell to the ground with a bang. Boom! The ground shook and stirred up a large amount of dust. At this point, the four robber cultivators were directly killed. Chapter 785 The Power of Golden Elixir. Wei Hong flew in the air with a calm expression on his sword. He had no reaction to the death of the four robbers, as if he just did it casually, and he didn't seem to take the four black-robed men seriously. He waved his hand casually, and a flame burned the body of the animal-skinned man directly into ashes. The 8 silver corpses below had also gathered again at this time, and he waved his hand to put them all into the body storage bag. Then Wei Hong looked in the direction of the 8-legged demon lizard. Under the siege of a large number of ghosts, the 2 8-legged demon lizards, although their skins were thick, could not resist the invasion of the ghosts at all, and they had no means to deal with the ghosts. Therefore, the 2 8-legged demon lizards had lost their vitality at this time and fell to the ground and stopped moving. The same was true for the other 2 blue-backed wolves. They were unable to resist the siege of a large number of foundation-building ghosts. They could only wail and be invaded by the yin qi, and then lost their lives. Tisk, this 10,000 souls banner is really amazing now. When it is fully exerted, even a few more foundation-building monsters can't stop it. Wei Hong couldn't help but sigh after seeing those monsters being killed by the ghosts using special means. This scene also gave him a deeper understanding of the power of the 10,000 souls banner, and at the same time he became more and more satisfied. Moreover, the limit of the 10,000 souls banner is definitely not just this level. Now it can continue to absorb more than 10 foundation-building souls, and its power will be even higher. Bang, bang, bang. At this time, a series of muffled sounds came from the other side. Wei Hong turned his head and saw the 3 flying purple-striped scorpions that wanted to escape just now when they saw the situation was not good. At this time, The 3 flying purple striped scorpions were constantly bombarding the green light curtain, trying to break the formation and escape from here. However, the tenacity of the green light curtain was far beyond the expectations of the 3 flying purple striped scorpions. When the 4 robber cultivators and other monsters had died one after another, the 3 flying purple striped scorpions were still unable to break the formation. At this time, they also saw that even the 4 robber cultivators had been killed by Wei Hong, and they were so scared that they stared at Wei Hong. Wei Hong was too lazy to do anything, and directly waved his hand to let all the ghosts roar towards the 3 flying purple striped scorpions. Squeak! The 3 flying purple striped scorpions immediately roared in shock and anger, as if they were facing a great enemy. However, facing the roar of the flying purple striped scorpions, the foundation building ghosts just rushed over and besieged them. Squeak! Squeak! The roars and roars suddenly sounded. However, this kind of movement only lasted for less than half a cup of tea, and then it became quiet again. The next moment, hundreds of ghosts roared back towards Wei Hong. Wei Hong grabbed the 10,000 souls banner and shook it gently, and all the ghosts were collected into the banner. Then, looking at the messy battlefield outside the valley, he couldn't help but show a touch of joy and satisfaction on his face. Not bad, not bad. Now that I have the 10,000 souls banner and 8 silver corpses in my hands, I am not afraid even if I face the siege of more than 10 foundation building cultivators or monsters. It's worth my huge effort. Thinking of this, he immediately controlled the 10,000 souls banner to absorb all the souls of the monsters and 4 robber cultivators into the banner. In this way, the power of this 10,000 souls banner can be greatly improved again. In addition to the materials on the foundation building monsters and the storage bags on the 4 robber cultivators, Wei Hong must have gained a lot this time. At least he didn't come out in vain. But before he could be happy for long, just when he had just collected the storage bags from the 4 robbers and had no time to deal with the monster materials, an extremely powerful aura instantly descended into the valley, not only crushing the 6 Absolutes Blue Thunder formation completely in this instant, but also almost forcing Wei Hong to kneel on the ground. What? Wei Hong's face was horrified, and his legs suddenly softened. He had no time to think about it. At this time, his body was running wildly, fighting against the sudden aura. His teeth were almost crushed before he barely straightened his legs again and didn't let himself really kneel down. Who? At this moment, Wei Hong's heart was already terrified. He never thought that someone could almost make him kneel on the ground with just a trace of aura, and also crush the 6 Absolutes Blue Thunder formation outside. This was simply unheard of, and even far exceeded his imagination. At this moment, Wei Hong knew that the person who came was definitely a master above the Golden Core stage. Such a change immediately shocked him to the point of numbness. It was precisely because he understood this that he immediately gritted his teeth and shouted respectfully, "Which senior is here?" "I, Wei Hong, greet you. I hope you can show up and see me." In front of such a strong man, all disguises are useless. Moreover, his life and death are only in the thoughts of others. He can't escape even if he wants to. It's better to stand there and wait for the other party. At this time, a very strong spiritual sense swept over. After hearing Wei Hong's voice, the breath and spiritual sense were all retracted at this moment. Then, before Wei Hong could wonder what the other party meant, a slightly surprised and gentle voice sounded above the valley. "Hey, Wei Hong? Is it you? Why are you here?" The next moment, a middle-aged man in a white robe came above Wei Hong. At this moment, Wei Hong's thoughts were like a roller coaster. He was a little surprised at first, not expecting that the expert who came here actually recognized him. Then he felt that the voice seemed familiar. Finally, when he saw the appearance of the person clearly, he breathed a sigh of relief in his heart and his face was full of joy. It turns out to be the Pavilion Master. Junior Wei Hong pays homage to the Pavilion Master. Wei Hong immediately performed a great salute respectfully, and then he was really relieved. The other party was Bidang Mo, the Pavilion Master of Dangwon Pavilion, and he was also a strong man in the late Jinden stage. It was precisely because of the huge gap in realm that Wei Hong was almost overwhelmed by a breath just now. Although Wei Hong didn't know why Bidang Mo suddenly appeared here, since Bidang Mo had appeared, it meant that he didn't need to worry about any safety issues anymore, not to mention that Bidang Mo immediately withdrew his breath and consciousness after seeing him appear here, obviously without any malicious intent. However, Bidang Mo did not even look at Wei Hong at this time. Instead, He stared at the increasingly obvious celestial phenomenon in the air with great interest, and then said, "The person who is building the foundation here seems to be gifted. Judging from the celestial phenomenon, this person must be able to build a third-grade foundation. Moreover, the celestial phenomenon caused by this person when building the foundation is actually related to this golden epiphyllum. I think this person's talent in alchemy should not be bad." Wei Hong only then knew that the golden spiritual flower that appeared in the air was actually called the golden epiphyllum. Bideng Mo just took a casual look and directly saw through Dingzu's details, which instantly shocked Wei Hong. Chapter 786, Third Level Taoist Foundation. Wei Hong was shocked, but he didn't dare to disturb Bideng Mo. At this time, Bideng Mo finally looked at Wei Hong. He seemed to see the nervousness in Wei Hong's heart, so he smiled gently and said, "Don't be nervous. I just happened to pass by and saw someone building a foundation here. The celestial phenomenon caused was so amazing that I came to take a look. I didn't expect that you were here to protect the law." Bideng Mo was so advanced that he knew clearly what had happened just now just by scanning with his spiritual sense. Therefore, he naturally knew that Wei Hong must have stayed here to protect the person building the foundation. At the same time, he was also surprised that Wei Hong's strength was much stronger than the rumors. Wei Hong explained with a respectful face, "My lord, I was invited by a good friend to protect her during her retreat to build her foundation and ensure that she can build her foundation safely. It's just that we just sent away a wave of robbers and monsters, and you, my lord, are here." Bideng Mo was not interested in Wei Hong's explanation. He just asked curiously, "My dear Wei, what is the identity of your friend? What kind of skills does he practice? Can he make pills?" These questions are taboos for cultivators, and no one would ask them in person. But Bideng Mo was really curious, and secondly, he was only asking Wei Hong instead of himself, so he wanted to get some answers from Wei Hong to see if he could confirm his thoughts. Wei Hong immediately replied, "Master, this friend of mine seems to be just a casual cultivator. She has no identity or background. She said that the method she practices is a family tradition. As for alchemy, she does know how to do it." He seemed to see that Bideng Mo seemed to be quite interested in Dingzu, and he didn't know what Bideng Mo's purpose was. Bideng Mo also saw Wei Hong's surprise, so he took the initiative to explain, "Haha, my friend, don't worry. I just saw that your friend made a lot of noise when he broke through, and he seemed to have a very good talent for alchemy, so I wanted to meet him." This sentence immediately surprised Wei Hong. He didn't expect that Bideng Mo seemed to have a talent for Dingzu. But these speculations must not be shown, so he immediately smiled and explained, "Thank you for clearing up my doubts, Pavilion Master. Don't worry, I will bring my friend to see you immediately after she completes her foundation building." Bideng Mo did not comment, and suddenly asked, "By the way, is this person a man or a woman?" "Pavilion Master, my friend is indeed a female cultivator." Wei Hong replied. "She is indeed a female cultivator." Bideng Mo nodded thoughtfully. At this time, the strange phenomenon of heaven and earth in the sky changed again. The huge golden spiritual flower began to slowly become ethereal, and then turned into golden spiritual light and fell straight down to the secret room below. At this time, the original faint fragrance suddenly became much stronger. Wei Hong looked slightly stern. Before he could say anything, Bideng Mo whispered, "It's done." As expected, as Bideng Mo finished speaking, the golden spiritual flower completely fell into the secret room below and disappeared. As the fragrance became stronger, a vigorous breath suddenly rose from the secret room below. As the breath that had indeed reached the foundation building level appeared, a slightly crisp long whistle suddenly resounded through the mountains. And this long whistle was full of surprise and joy. It was obvious that Dingzu was extremely happy that she had finally broken through to the foundation building stage. After feeling Dingzu's breath, Wei Hong couldn't help but smile. He just glanced at Bideng Mo next to him quietly, but didn't say anything more. Bideng Mo was also waiting quietly on the side, seeming to be looking forward to it. After a while, the long howl suddenly stopped, and then a figure suddenly flew out of the cave, flying towards Wei Hong, and said to Wei Hong with a happy smile, "Fellow Taoist Wei, I finally succeeded in building my foundation. This time, thanks to you for protecting me, I am really grateful. But the commotion here just now is not small, and it will soon attract many cultivators and monsters. Fellow Taoist Wei, let's return to the Immortal City first." Originally, after breaking through to the foundation building stage, it must be closed for a period of time to stabilize, but Dingzu knew that it was too dangerous outside the city now, and the commotion just now must be not small, so it is naturally safest for them to return to Kangshan Immortal City first. As she said this, Dingzu quickly approached. But only then did she notice that there was another person beside Wei Hong, so she hurriedly stopped, and then looked at Bidingmo with a vigilant face, and then looked at Wei Hong cautiously and asked, "Friend Wei, who is this friend?" Wei Hong hurriedly said, "Friend Ding, please don't be rude. This senior Bidingmo is the master of our Danwang Pavilion. Come and pay his respects." Ah! Dingzu was startled at first when she heard this, and then hurriedly approached and saluted respectfully, "Junior Dingzu, I don't know your identity, I hope you can forgive me." Dingzu didn't know why the master of Danwang Pavilion appeared here, but seeing that Wei Hong didn't say much, she could only pay her respects obediently, not daring to be disrespectful in the slightest. "Haha, it's okay." Bidingmo smiled and waved his hand, then looked at Dingzu and asked, "Friend Ding has just broken through the foundation building stage, which is really a happy thing. I wonder what level of foundation has friend Ding built?" Dingzu frowned, not expecting Bidingmo to ask such a private question. She hesitated a little, not knowing how to answer, but then she saw Wei Hong nodded to her secretly, so she stopped hesitating and immediately replied respectfully, "Senior, I have built a third-level foundation." As soon as this was said, Bidingmo laughed and said, "Haha, good, it is indeed a third-level foundation. Although it is only the third level, it is already very good. The third-level foundation means that Dingzu's cultivation talent is quite extraordinary, and she is considered to be one of the top few in the entire cultivation world. After all, the best Dao foundation only exists in legends, and the first-grade Dao foundation is rare in 1,000 years. Once it appears, it will be snatched by major sects. Therefore, in the entire world of cultivating immortals, the most common high-level Dao foundations are the second and third grades. Since Dingzu was able to forge a third-grade Dao foundation, it naturally proves that her cultivation talent is indeed extraordinary. Even Wei Hong was a little surprised. He didn't expect that Dingzu didn't look so impressive during the key training period, but she was able to forge a third-grade Dao foundation during the foundation building period. This was obviously beyond his expectations. At this time, he quietly glanced at Bidingmo, and seemed to have understood Bidingmo's thoughts a little, and couldn't help but secretly envy him in his heart. At this time, before Dingzu could say anything, Bidingmo continued to ask, "Little friend Ding, can you make pills?" Chapter 787, Become a Disciple, Old Friend. Alchemy. Dingzu was startled, not knowing why Bidingmo suddenly asked this, but she didn't think much about it, so she answered directly, reporting to the senior, "I do know a little about alchemy, but I can't say I am proficient in it. However, my family did pass down some alchemy recipes, and I learned to make alchemy by studying those family recipes." After that, she looked at Bidingmo carefully. Wei Hong next to him was quite amused at this time. He didn't expect Dingzu to be so slow. She didn't understand Bidingmo's meaning. She looked a little stupid. However, he didn't have any jealousy for Dingzu's opportunities and encounters, but was happy for her. Sure enough, after hearing Dingzu's answer, the satisfaction on Bidingmo's face became more and more obvious. He looked at Dingzu carefully, then looked at Dingzu with a gentle face and asked softly, "My dear friend Ding, would you like to take me as your master?" Wei Hong was surprised. He didn't expect Bidingmo to be so direct, even proactive, as if he valued Dingzu more than he expected. Dingzu was even more confused at this time. She suspected that there seemed to be something wrong with her ears. She was stunned for a long time before she stammered, "Senior, what did you say?" Seeing Dingzu's reaction, even Bidingmo couldn't help laughing. He smiled gently and said, "Haha, my friend, don't be nervous. This pavilion master actually has a heart of love for talent. Seeing that your talent for cultivation and alchemy is quite extraordinary, I want to take you as a disciple. If you have concerns or are unwilling, then forget it." It was not until this time that Dingzu really reacted. It turned out that the reason why Bidingmo asked her about her Taoist foundation level and whether she could make alchemy was actually to take her as a disciple. If an ordinary cultivator encountered such a great thing, he might have agreed to it with great joy, and he would not even think about it, and he was afraid that if he answered a little slowly, Bidingmo would take back his idea. But Dingzu was different. She actually had no worries in her heart. She was just hit by such a big surprise. Her first reaction was not to be happy, but to feel quite panicked and uneasy, so she behaved like this. At this time, she saw Wei Hong next to her constantly winking at her, as if to signal her to agree quickly, so Dingzu panicked and hurriedly said to Bidang Mo respectfully, "No, no, no, I have no worries, I am willing." Disciple Dingzu greets master. At this time, Dingzu seemed to become much smarter, and she actually bowed to Bidang Mo in midair. Seeing Dingzu so well behaved, Bidang Mo couldn't help but be filled with joy, and immediately laughed and said, "Haha, good disciple, no need to be polite, get up quickly. Here, this is the gift from the master to you. As for the identity token and other things, the master will ask people to prepare them after returning to the city." After that, 2 streams of light flew from Bidang Mo's hands to Dingzu. Dingzu hurriedly stood up, and then immediately carefully caught the 2 items. When the light faded, Dingzu could see the 2 items in her hands clearly. One of them was a light red pocket flying sword, with some mysterious runes engraved on the surface of the flying sword, and it exuded a faint flame, which seemed to be extraordinary. The other was a jade talisman with a spiritual glow, and the jade talisman was painted with dense runes, but there was no trace of aura leaking out. If it hadn't been for its good appearance, Dingzu would have almost thought it was just an ordinary jade talisman. Bidang Mo saw that Dingzu was a little confused, so he took the initiative to introduce, "Disciple, the flying sword is called the Red Rainbow Sword, which is a second-grade high-grade flying sword with fire attributes. Now you can't control it, so you should put it away first. As for the jade talisman, this is a kind of protective talisman unique to my master. Once it is sacrificed, it will protect you. Even giant and cultivators can hardly hurt you. And after you sacrifice this jade talisman, my master can immediately sense your situation and location, and will immediately rescue you. Just remember that you must never use this jade talisman unless it is a life and death situation. Do you understand?" Finally, Bidang Mo did not forget to remind her. Dingzu nodded solemnly with a pretty face, "Master, don't worry, I will remember it." After that, she put away both items solemnly. At this moment, Dingzu no longer had any fear about worshipping Bidang Mo as her master. Instead, she felt an unspeakable surprise in her heart. She didn't expect that she would have such an opportunity. Wei Hong beside him was naturally full of envy, but he was also happy for Dingzu. Sure enough, there are opportunities everywhere in this world of cultivating immortals, but this time it is Dingzu's luck, which others can't envy. Wei Hong thought secretly in his heart. To be honest, if it were him, he would indeed have many concerns. After all, he had too many secrets, and he never dared to have too close contact with others. Once it was leaked, it would cause endless troubles. So even if a strong man like Bidang Mo wanted to take him as a disciple, he would need to think carefully. At this time, Bidang Mo suddenly looked at Wei Hong beside him, and then said lightly, "Friend Wei, you can protect my disciple and help her successfully build the foundation. This time the contribution is not small. I wonder if there is anything you want." Obviously, Bidang Mo wanted to help Dingzu take the initiative to repay Wei Hong's favor. However, Wei Hong bowed and said, "Master Pavilion Master, you are too kind. The reason why I agreed to come to protect the Dharma is not only because fellow Taoisting is my good friend, but also because fellow Taoisting has helped me before, so there is no question of merit. I am very happy for fellow Taoisting to successfully build the foundation this time. Moreover, she can become the disciple of Master Pavilion Master. This is a double happiness." Haha, yes, it is indeed a double happiness. Bidang Mo saw that Wei Hong did not take credit for himself and did not care. After all, this was the friendship between Wei Hong and Dingzu, and he could not interfere too much, so he laughed and said, "Good disciple, when you go back, your master will hold a master-apprentice banquet for you. You can also show your face to avoid offending you in the future." Dingzu naturally would not refuse, and immediately said with a smile, "It's all up to master." After that, she turned to look at Wei Hong, saluted him and said, "Fellow Taoist Wei, this time thanks to your protection of the Dharma for me, I will remember it in my heart and will never dare to forget it." At this time, Dingzu had already seen the messy battlefield in the valley, and naturally understood how many terrible enemies Wei Hong had blocked for her. Without Wei Hong, she would never have been able to successfully build her foundation, so Dingzu also remembered this favor in her heart and was full of gratitude to Wei Hong. Wei Hong waved his hand and said indifferently, "Fellow Taoisting, there is no need to be polite. Moreover, Fellow Taoist is now disciple of the pavilion master. I may have more troubles in the future. Dingzhu naturally agreed with a smile, saying that she could come to her if she had any questions. Bidangmo saw that the matter had been settled, so he waved his hand and said, "Let's talk about it when we return to the city." Chapter 788, Connections and Backing. 7 days later. Kangshan Immortal City, Guangzhouxun. Today, Guangzhouxun is bustling with people. Before noon, a large number of cultivators have been gathering at Guangzhouxun. At the door of Guangzhouxun, some people are responsible for receiving guests, and some are responsible for leading the way. However, these people are not Guangzhouxun's maids, but some people in fancy clothes. And they are responsible for entertaining guests holding invitations. Others who don't have invitations are mostly standing aside and watching the excitement. Obviously, someone in Guangzhouxun should be entertaining guests. Hey, what's going on? Why don't you go up? Don't you know? The head of Dangwon Pavilion, Bidangmo, is holding a banquet in Guangzhouxun today to celebrate his new disciple. The entire third floor of Guangzhouxun is booked. The head of Dangwon Pavilion, Bidangmo, has a new disciple? Which fellow Taoist has such good luck? I don't know. I just heard about it, but I don't know who it is. Alice, that person is really lucky. He can become a disciple of Bidangmo. He is a strong man in the late Jinden period. Many cultivators gathered at the door of Guangzhouxun were talking in low voices, talking about the Dangwon Pavilion's banquet today and the new disciple. Obviously, most of the cultivators were envious and jealous of Dingzhu's opportunity, and they wished they could take her place. At this time, the people who were responsible for welcoming guests at the door of Guangzhouxun were some of Bidangmo's disciples. Haha, it turns out that Senior Qin has come. Please come in quickly. Master has been waiting for a long time. Fellow Taoist Wang is here? Come on, please come this way. Haha, fellow Taoist Lin, we haven't seen each other for a long time. How are you doing recently? Fellow Taoist Wang, it's great that you can come to our little sister's apprenticeship banquet. Our eldest brother will be very happy to see you. Bidangmo's disciples kept greeting various guests, and sent them to Guangzhouxun one by one. At this time, Wei Hong also came to the door of Guangzhouxun with an invitation. That day, under the leadership of Bidangmo, they naturally returned to Xiancheng smoothly without any obstacles. After returning to Xiancheng, Bidangmo said that he would prepare to hold a banquet immediately, and Dingzhu had just become a disciple, so she naturally had to follow Bidangmo back to Dangwon Pavilion. Bidangmo also arranged all other matters. So Wei Hong immediately said goodbye to Dingzhu and returned to his residence. 3 days later, Dingzhu came to visit him in person and sent him an invitation to a banquet, expressing her hope that Wei Hong could attend their apprenticeship banquet. Wei Hong would not refuse, but was very happy to go. You know, Dingzhu's status is completely different now compared to before. She has found a very stable and tall backer, and her future will be smooth. Wei Hong naturally has to maintain this relationship well. He walked straight towards the door, and seeing that he had an invitation in his hand, a handsome man immediately came up to him. Hello, fellow Taoist, what is your name? Are you here to attend our junior sister's apprenticeship banquet? Wei Hong nodded with a smile, handed over the invitation and said, Yes, I'm Wei Hong, a good friend of fellow Taoist Dingzhu, and I'm invited to attend the banquet. When the handsome man heard this, he looked at Wei Hong with a little surprise, took the invitation and read it, then smiled politely. Haha, it turns out to be fellow Taoist Wei. I've heard of your name for a long time. I didn't expect that fellow Taoist Wei is the best friend of my junior sister. I'm Yuan Yi, you're here to meet you. Wei Hong's name has long been known to many people in Kangshan Fairy City, and Yuan Yi is naturally no exception. It's just that he didn't expect that Wei Hong and his junior sister are so it's fellow Taoist Yuan in person. I wonder which senior brother of fellow Taoisting is fellow Taoist Yuan? Wei Hong asked in return. Yuan Yi chuckled and said, Haha, I am the third disciple of the master, and also the third senior brother of the little junior sister. I see. Wei Hong nodded. Yuan Yi then stretched out his hand and gestured, Dao Wei, please come this way. The little junior sister is already waiting upstairs. Please. Wei Hong clasped his hands and said, Okay, thank you, Dao Yuan. After that, he followed a key training period disciple upstairs. After arriving at the third floor, he immediately saw Dingzhu staying next to Bidangmo. The third floor is an extremely spacious hall, where there are 20 or 30 huge round tables. At this time, Bidangmo is sitting at the top of the table in the middle, and Dingzhu is standing behind Bidangmo, meeting various guests with Bidangmo. Those guests who went up to the third floor all went to see Bidangmo first, and then were introduced to Dingzhu by Bidangmo. This was not only to start accumulating connections for Dingzhu, but also to prove Dingzhu's identity to everyone. Seeing this scene, Wei Hong, who had not yet approached, was quite moved. It was because he and Dingzhu were good friends, but Dingzhu became sworn because she became Bidangmo's apprentice. Not only did her status and position have been greatly improved, but Wei Hong, her good friend, also gained a strong network of contacts. According to his relationship with Dingzhu, as long as she helped him with something in the future, Dingzhu would naturally not refuse, and could even introduce him to relationships and resources that he could not reach on weekdays. This was definitely beneficial and harmless to Wei Hong. He did not expect that just by protecting Dingzhu once, he would inexplicably gain such a strong network of contacts. He had to be very moved. Thinking of this in his heart, Wei Hong slowly walked in front of Bidangmo. Junior Wei Hong, meet the pavilion master. Wei Hong respectfully bowed to Bidangmo, then nodded to Dingzhu and said with a smile, fellow Taoisting, congratulations, being able to worship under the pavilion master is a good thing that many people can't even dream of. Haha, this is a little gift from me, not only to congratulate fellow Taoisting on finding a good teacher, but also to congratulate fellow Taoisting on his success in building his foundation. After saying that, he took out an exquisite box from his storage bag and handed it over with both hands. Since he was here to attend Dingzhu's apprenticeship banquet, he naturally needed to prepare a gift. Wei Hong thought that Dingzhu had just built her foundation not long ago, and some of the middle and upper grade spiritual tools were still unable to control. Besides, her master was not short of these things, and would definitely give her better ones in the future, so Wei Hong prepared 10 self-destructing talismans as gifts, and also left a jade slip about using the self-destructing talisman in the box. Dingzhu smiled happily. She was not at all shy. Instead, she took the box and responded warmly, thank you, fellow Taoist Wei. I'll accept it without hesitation. Bidangmo also smiled faintly when he saw this scene. After seeing Dingzhu accept the box, he waved to Wei Hong and said, there is no need to be polite, my friend Wei. Everyone who comes is a guest. What's more, you and Zui are good friends. There is no need to be restrained. Just be casual and take a seat. Yes, thank you, Pavilion Master. Wei Hong bowed and thanked her. Then, under the personal guidance of Dingzhu, he sat down at another table. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelis. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 789, Recruiting Disciples, Party. Dingzhu chatted with Wei Hong for a while before saying goodbye and leaving. After all, Dingzhu was one of the protagonists of today's banquet. She needed to know and receive too many guests, and she had to stay by Bidangmo's side. She was able to lead Wei Hong to a seat and chat with him for a long time, which was already a manifestation of her great attention to Wei Hong. It was also because of this that many monks in the hall on the third floor looked at Wei Hong differently. Some monks not only whispered beside him, but also secretly inquired about Wei Hong's identity. In particular, after someone recognized Wei Hong, they immediately came over to talk to him warmly. There were also some who had not yet recognized Wei Hong's identity, but after seeing Dingzhu's attitude of respect for Wei Hong, they also felt that this person was not simple, so they came to make friends with him. So, before the banquet really started, the table where Wei Hong sat became lively, attracting other guests to constantly shift their attention. Wei Hong naturally did not dare to offend anyone, so he could only smile politely and speak cautiously. After all, the people present were all people of high status, and each of them was a cultivator above the foundation building stage. The attitude of these people was also quite enthusiastic, so Wei Hong naturally had to be more friendly. Of course, there were also many people who thought highly of themselves, or people with good status and backgrounds. These people naturally looked down on Wei Hong, and just watched coldly from the sidelines without getting close. Wei Hong himself felt quite a headache, but he could only bite the bullet and continue to deal with it. Fortunately, the banquet was about to begin, and the guests around slowly returned to their seats. Wei Hong then quietly breathed a sigh of relief, and then secretly sighed. It is better to practice in seclusion. Try not to attend such occasions if you can. Although it seems that there are many cultivators of good status at this banquet, he does not know the details of those people, and does not want to deliberately make friends with others, so there is no need to cling to anything. At this time, it seemed that all the guests had arrived. Bidangmo stood up, looked around, and greeted them loudly. Everyone, thank you for coming to my apprenticeship banquet. Please look, this is my new disciple Dingzhu. Zhuir, come and meet you. Upon hearing this, Dingzhu immediately stood up from behind Bidangmo, then bowed and saluted to everyone around and said, I am Dingzhu, meet all the seniors and fellow Taoists, I hope you can take care of me in the future. Seeing that the host had appeared, the guests who were invited to the banquet all praised, haha, fellow Taoisting is too polite. It should be fellow Taoisting who takes care of us in the future. Yes, 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 fellow Taoisting must be very talented to be valued by Pavilion Master Bidang, right? Congratulations to Pavilion Master Bidang, you have found another talented disciple. We are so envious. Haha, that's right, fellow Taoisting, we should move around more often in the future. Dingzhu was almost embarrassed by the praise from everyone, and could only smile shyly. Seeing this, Bidangmo pressed his hands together, and then smiled, haha, since you have already met Zhuir, please support her in the future. Come on, let's get started. With Bidangmo's order, 2 teams of maids carrying trays immediately filed in and began to put out various delicacies and spiritual wines, which also meant that the banquet officially began. Looking at the delicious wines and delicacies on the table full of spiritual energy, Wei Hong did not rush to pick up his chopsticks. Instead, an idea suddenly popped up in his mind. There are so many cultivators gathered here, I wonder if there are any evil cultivators from the blood spirit sect mixed in. When this idea came up, it could not be shaken off his mind. So Wei Hong took advantage of the time when others were picking up their chopsticks and couldn't help but use the spirit light treasure mirror to slowly scan the surroundings. It doesn't matter if you don't look at it, but the result of scanning with the spirit light treasure mirror immediately shocked him. Wei Hong couldn't help but take a deep breath in his heart, and quickly retracted his gaze, and then murmured in shock in his heart, so many. Although he just glanced casually, what he saw was a large area of blood red. This was because many cultivators present revealed bloodlight of varying concentrations. These cultivators were obviously chess pieces controlled by the blood spirit sect. Such an amazing discovery immediately shocked and uneasy him. What should I do? It's just a banquet, and so many chess pieces of the blood spirit sect have appeared. Could it be that this Kangshan immortal city has been infiltrated almost? Thinking of this, Wei Hong's uneasiness became stronger and stronger. Who would have thought that the blood spirit sect had silently infiltrated the Kangshan immortal city so deeply, and even many cultivators themselves didn't think that they would become chess pieces of the blood spirit sect, but the blood spirit sect's control method was really weird and unpredictable, making it hard to guard against. Just like Wang Shai and Heng, the steward of Dang Wang Pavilion, whom he knew before, he took people out for a trip, and when he came back, those people all had blood on their bodies, and they were obviously controlled by the blood spirit sect with special means. Now it seems that so many blood spirit sect pawns present should have had similar experiences, otherwise the blood spirit sect would never have been able to infiltrate Kangshan immortal city so deeply. Seeing such a situation, Wei Hong's tension and urgency instantly increased. No, now there are so many cultivators controlled by the blood spirit sect, I don't know how many more will appear next. If this continues, won't the entire Kangshan immortal city be infiltrated by the blood spirit sect? When that time comes, won't this Kangshan immortal city no longer be safe? Wei Hong's thoughts turned rapidly, and he had already begun to consider how to prepare a retreat. The current situation made him feel that Kangshan immortal city was no longer safe. Once the war broke out, people like them who had no power to protect them would definitely die the fastest, and they would not be able to escape at that time. At that time, the entire Kangshan immortal city would be completely besieged by the blood spirit sect. What should I do? Should I leave Kangshan immortal city now? Wei Hong had no idea at this time. He thought secretly, but if I leave the immortal city now, where should I go? Where can I find so many cultivation resources after leaving this place? Various thoughts kept rolling in his mind, but he could not find a suitable solution. Looking at the large table of fine wine and delicacies in front of him, he had already lost his appetite. So Wei Hong waited until the banquet was almost over, quietly said goodbye to Ding Zhu, and immediately left Guangjuxun. He went directly back to his residence in Dangwang Pavilion, because at this time he needed to think carefully so that he could find a suitable retreat next time and not let himself be trapped in the center of the vortex of Kangshan Immortal City. Chapter 790, 10 Years, Retreat. In a blink of an eye, 10 years have passed. Kangshan Immortal City, North District. The door of an ordinary rental house with a number C quietly opened at this time, and then a thin, ordinary-looking, but slightly pale young man walked out of it. The young man turned around and closed the door, and then walked towards the street leisurely. After slowly arriving in the South District, the man walked towards a small shop that seemed to be extremely remote. This small shop was located at the end of the street, just in a relatively corner position, so that there were not many monks appearing here, and there were even fewer customers entering and leaving the shops next to it. The young man had a faint smile on his lips and slowly opened the door of the shop. After opening the shop, the man walked in slowly, and then carefully placed some talismans in the storage bag on the shelves on both sides of the shop. After placing all the talismans, the man moved a recliner from the back hall of the shop and placed it in front of the shop. Not only that, the young man then moved out a low tea table, brewed a pot of hot tea and placed it on the tea table, and placed a recliner next to the tea table. After preparing all this, the man sat directly on the recliner. Huh? The young man seemed to be quite comfortable and let out a long sigh, then leisurely took a sip of the teacup, and took out an unknown ancient book from the storage bag, and just lay on the recliner and read the ancient book leisurely. Seeing the wonderful part, this man even shook his head, as if he was extremely immersed in it, and didn't care about the outside world at all. No one knew that this man's seemingly ordinary face was not his real face, but a disguise. This man was Wei Hong. But his name in this appearance was not Wei Hong, but Qi Yun. As for the shop selling talismans behind him, he had only opened it slowly in the past 2 years. At this time, it seemed to outsiders that he was concentrating on reading the ancient book, but various thoughts kept flashing through his mind. 10 years have passed, and now the situation inside and outside the city has almost reached the point of eruption. It seems that we can't be stable for too long. Wei Hong sighed in his heart, but compared with the panic and anxiety 10 years ago, he had already calmed down at this time, and the tension and anxiety in his heart had been eliminated a lot. Of course, this is all because he has made countless preparations and backups in the past 10 years. When he thought of the various retreats he had prepared in the past 10 years, Wei Hong was quite emotional. It's not easy. In the past 10 years, I don't know how many spiritual stones I have spent. Fortunately, I have a good harvest and have prepared a lot of retreats. It's worth my hard work for 10 years. If outsiders knew about the various preparations Wei Hong had made in the past 10 years, it would definitely be jaw-dropping. First of all, what he prepared was different identities. During this period, he prepared 7 or 8 different identities for himself, including casual cultivators, shop owners, merchants, etc. In short, each identity was different, and there was no connection between each identity. Secondly, in addition to practicing every day in the past 10 years, he was making plans everywhere. Wei Hong not only prepared 7 or 8 fake identities, but also rented many secret houses in various places inside the fairy city. These houses were not big and the rent was not expensive, which was not worth mentioning to him. After renting the secret houses, he dug tunnels under each house. The directions and depths of the tunnels were different, but there was one thing in common, that is, these tunnels all led to the outside of the city. The excavation of each tunnel took Wei Hong a lot of effort and a lot of time. During the period, he had to be careful whether outsiders would notice it, and he had to be alert to the neighbors around. It can be said that the excavation of those tunnels almost made Wei Hong collapse. Fortunately, when he thought of the turbulent situation now, he gritted his teeth and supported it. In those rented secret houses, he not only dug tunnels, but also laid out a series of formations to ensure the safety of those tunnels. Now the shop behind Wei Hong was rented by him 2 years ago. The location of the shop is not good, and it can even be called remote, but it just meets his requirements. He also dug a tunnel under the back hall of this shop leading to the outside of the city, which was considered one of the backup tunnels. The most important thing is that those tunnels have not stopped digging, because Wei Hong did not know how far he had to dig to truly escape from Kangshan Immortal City, so whenever he had time, he would go to each tunnel to dig in turn, trying to dig as far as possible, so that it would be safer. In addition, Wei Hong's cultivation level has also been greatly improved in the past 10 years. As early as a year after Ling Zu's apprenticeship banquet, he had raised his cultivation to the peak of the 6th level of foundation building. So Wei Hong did not hesitate at the time, and directly found a suitable time to retreat, and then swallowed a Kingating fueling pill during the retreat, thus breaking through the bottleneck in one fell swoop and truly stepping into the ranks of late foundation building cultivators. After entering the late foundation building stage, he repurchased several pill recipes suitable for late foundation building cultivators, and also purchased a large amount of materials for alchemy, in order to ensure that his cultivation speed would not slow down. It was also because of the help of a large number of elixirs, coupled with Wei Hong's continuous hard work, that he broke through 2 levels in less than 9 years, and his cultivation at this time had reached the 9th level of foundation building. If other foundation building cultivators knew about this, they would be jealous and mad. As long as Wei Hong cultivated to the peak of the 9th level of foundation building, he could try to form a pill, but the success rate of forming a pill was uncertain. Generally, the peak foundation building cultivators would prepare for many years before trying to form a pill. In addition to these gains and preparations, he also prepared a large number of trump cards. These included various spiritual tools, self-destructing talismans, paper figures, Xiangang Posha talismans, Lingai-in talismans, and a large number of array plates and flags, etc. These were all things he had been frantically preparing and storing for the past 10 years. Even the 8 silver quartzes were improved a lot by his secret methods and materials. In addition to the 10,000 souls banner, he now had no idea how many trump cards he had prepared. It was precisely because of the existence of these trump cards that he finally suppressed his inner uneasiness. Everything that should be done has been done. Thank you is of no use. Wei Hong rocked leisurely on the recliner, thinking secretly in his heart, no matter when the war between Kangshan Immortal City and Blood Spirit Sect breaks out, with all the retreat routes I have prepared, escaping from the Immortal City will not be a problem. I'm just afraid that I will encounter the evil cultivators of the Blood Spirit Sect after escaping outside the city. After thinking about all the plans and preparations in his mind, he stopped thinking about it and really relaxed, ready to rest for a while. Chapter 791 9th Level of Foundation Building. Creak. The sound of the recliner rocking gently continued to ring out, accompanied by the crisp sound of pages of books being turned. Wei Hong was enjoying his comfortable life at the moment. If it weren't for the panic caused by the Blood Spirit Sect, he might have really planned to open another store to sell the various talismans and elixirs he made. Unfortunately, such a life could not be maintained for much longer. Haha, fellow Taoist Qi is really leisurely and comfortable. I admire you. At this time, a slightly hearty voice suddenly sounded beside Wei Hong. Upon hearing this, Wei Hong immediately gently moved the ancient book in front of him, and then saw a man with a strong figure, a square face, and a rather generous look. Haha, Taoist friend Zhang, please don't make fun of me. Wei Hong responded with a chuckle, while standing up from the recliner, and then said with a wry smile, I can't make a single deal in this day. How can I be so relaxed? This is clearly because I have no choice but to make a living. The man in front of him was named Zhang Han, the shopkeeper of the one Kixo next door. The name of the shop next door was very high profile and grand. In fact, it sells all kinds of sundries, including spiritual tools, talismans, materials, books, etc., and the types are quite complicated. Wei Hong has opened a shop here for more than a year, so he is familiar with the shopkeepers of several shops next door. In addition, the current situation is turbulent and the number of customers has decreased a lot, so the shopkeepers of these nearby shops often visit each other to chat. Zhang Han didn't believe Wei Hong's words. He laughed and said, Haha, Taoist friend Qi, don't think that Zhang doesn't know that you have been like this since the first day of opening the shop. This has nothing to do with business. While talking and laughing, the two of them had already stepped into the shop together. Wei Hong led Zhang Han directly to the back hall and sat down at a round table. He brewed another pot of hot tea and poured a cup for Zhang Han before slowly sitting down. Friend Zhang, how is your business today? After taking a sip of tea, Wei Hong looked at Zhang Han with a smile. Zhang Han replied unhappily, it's boring for fellow Taoist Qi to ask this. Our two families are connected. How could fellow Taoist Qi not know whether there is business or not? Haha. Wei Hong could not help but laugh, but he did not feel embarrassed. Instead, he smiled and said, if I had known this, I would not have opened this shop. It would be better for me to practice hard. Speaking of this, Zhang Han sighed helplessly. Who said it wasn't? Now the whole Kangshan Immortal City is in panic because of the Blood Spirit sect. Kangshan's Henrin has not appeared yet, and the city lord has not made any statement. We don't know whether a war will break out between Kangshan Immortal City and the Blood Spirit sect. Now many people dare not go out, and our business has plummeted. After more than 10 years, in Kangshan Immortal City, even ignorant children have known the influence of the Blood Spirit sect in the Immortal City. Moreover, over the past 10 years, the situation inside and outside the city has become more and more tense. No one knows when the war between Kangshan Immortal City and the Blood Spirit sect will break out. The most important thing is that in the past 10 or 20 years, as the pillar of this fairy city, Kangshan's Henrin has never shown his face once, allowing the evil cultivators of the Blood Spirit sect to infiltrate continuously, and even the city lord of Kangshan Fairy City did not care, so that countless people could not understand the reason. Of course, this is not a problem that Zhang Han and his friends can care about. It's just that because the situation is getting more and more tense, the business of these small shops has also been greatly affected. This is the real reason why Zhang Han sighed helplessly. He came here to complain to Wei Hong. Wei Hong also had an expression of deep agreement at this time. He smiled bitterly and said, "There is no way, fellow Taoist Zhang, now the whole fairy city is like this, we just hope that there will be no war." That's right, if a war really breaks out, we don't know how many people will be killed and injured. Zhang Han nodded in agreement. Wei Hong then said, "Now that things have come to this, since we dare not leave the city, we can only take it one step at a time. Perhaps Kangshan's Henrin has already made plans, right?" Zhang Han could only sigh and bow his head. "Oh, I hope so." So the two of them drank tea slowly and chatted with each other. Half an hour later, Zhang Han said goodbye and left. Looking at Zhang Han's departing back, Wei Hong sighed silently. This is the way of the world. They are just ants under the rolling trend. Night. Wei Hong restored his original face and returned to the residence of Dan Wang Pavilion. He went straight to the practice room and sat cross-legged on the golden silk cushion. The next moment, he took out a white jade bottle from the storage bag. He gently opened the stopper of the jade bottle, tilted the bottle mouth slightly, and a light golden pill the size of a longan poured out. Then Wei Hong swallowed the pill without any hesitation. The pill went down his throat and immediately turned into a warm current that entered his danshan. Wei Hong gently closed his eyes and began to use the green light sword technique with all his strength. The spiritual power in his body quickly rushed out of his danshan, carrying the medicinal power transformed from the pill, and began to circulate in his meridians at a very fast speed. At the same time, the spiritual energy of the surrounding heaven and earth was also attracted and continuously absorbed into Wei Hong's body. With each cycle of circulation, part of the spiritual energy of heaven and earth absorbed into his body would be integrated into his spiritual power, and part of the medicinal power transformed from the pill would also be refined, and then his spiritual power would be strengthened a little. After reaching the 9th level of foundation building, Wei Hong's cultivation speed had already slowed down a lot. Even with the help of the pill, it was still not comparable to the cultivation speed in the middle stage of foundation building, which also made him feel more and more urgent. As he circulated this Haoshan again and again, the green light on Wei Hong's body became stronger and stronger, and the aura he exuded became more and more fierce, like a sharp flying sword, which was chilling. His Kingguang sword art had already reached the peak of the 3rd level, and his sword intent was becoming more and more terrifying. Breaking through to the 4th level meant that he had reached the peak of foundation building, and had the foundation for forming a pill. After reaching the late stage of foundation building, the pills that Wei Hong swallowed had long been replaced with second-grade upper-grade golden marrow pills. Each of these golden marrow pills was worth 20 to 30 middle-grade spirit stones, which would be 2,000 to 3,000 lower-grade spirit stones, but he swallowed them in large quantities like eating. If it weren't for the spoils of war he had obtained from Xiao Ming and others before, he might not have been able to support the pills he needed for his cultivation over the past decade. The spiritual power kept running in his body. With each cycle, Wei Hong's spiritual power grew slightly stronger. Although the effect did not seem obvious, as long as he persisted in practicing every day, he would reach the peak of foundation building one day. In this way, Wei Hong did not open his eyes for a long time after entering the state of cultivation. Chapter 792, Star Source Secret Realm. 3 days later. On this day, Ding Zhu suddenly came to visit. After inviting Ding Zhu to sit in the courtyard, Wei Hong poured her tea and asked with a smile, "How are you doing, Taoist brother Ding? How come you have time to come to me today? Why can't you come to Taoist brother Wei's place if you have nothing to do?" Ding Zhu smiled lightly, and then said, "There is nothing good or bad. Every day, I practice and make pills. I can only say that it is very fulfilling." After the previous Dharma protection for Ding Zhu, the relationship between Wei Hong and Ding Zhu has obviously become closer and more familiar. In the past 10 years, they have also visited and communicated with each other. Wei Hong did not hide his own practice experience at all. As long as he could share it with Ding Zhu, he would share it all. Of course, Ding Zhu also taught Wei Hong some of her family recipes and experience in alchemy without reservation, just as a return of favor, and the two of them can be said to have gained something. Hearing Ding Zhu say this, Wei Hong shook his head and smiled. "If those cultivators outside hear you, I don't know how jealous they will be." Being able to worship under the master of the pavilion is something that many people wished for. You have now reached the peak of the third level of foundation building, and you may break through to the middle level of foundation building at any time. If you tell others about this speed of cultivation, I don't know how many cultivators will envy you. What's wrong with this? After 10 years of cultivation, under Bidang Mo's careful cultivation with a lot of resources, Ding Zhu's cultivation has already broken through to the peak of the third level of foundation building, and she is only one step away from entering the middle level of foundation building. Others may need to work hard to find the realm-breaking elixir, but for Bidang Mo, it is a small thing that can be taken out at will. Therefore, it may not be long before Ding Zhu can truly enter the middle level of foundation building. If you tell others about this speed of cultivation, I don't know how many cultivators will be jealous of it, and even want to replace it, and they are extremely envious of Ding Zhu's opportunity. Even Wei Hong was somewhat impressed. Ding Zhu's cultivation talent was indeed extraordinary. It was no wonder that Bidang Mo had taken a fancy to Ding Zhu at first sight, and Ding Zhu did live up to Bidang Mo's high expectations. Hearing Wei Hong's ridicule, Ding Zhu just chuckled and said, "No matter how envious or jealous others are, that is an unchangeable fact. Everyone has their own fate. It is my chance to become a disciple of Master. What's the point of their envy and jealousy?" These words immediately made Wei Hong look at Ding Zhu more. After becoming a disciple of Bidang Mo, Ding Zhu's knowledge and experience were obviously much deeper than before. Wei Hong nodded and asked, "Tell me, what exactly do you want to see me for?" He knew that Ding Zhu must have come for something this time, so he took the initiative to ask. Ding Zhu did not mean to hide anything. She said directly, "I am visiting you this time because I have something to discuss with you, Taoist Wei. Before that, I would like to ask you, Taoist Wei, do you know the secret realm?" Secret realm. Wei Hong frowned slightly when he heard this, and after thinking for a while, he shook his head and said, "I have never heard of it. Could it be that Taoist Ding is looking for me because of the so-called secret realm?" Ding Zhu smiled, and did not care whether Wei Hong knew about the secret realm or not, so she answered, "Yes, this time I came here. In fact, I want to invite Taoist Wei to explore a secret realm with me." After saying this, Wei Hong could not help but slightly widen his eyes, and then curiously asked, "Explore the secret realm? What do you mean by that?" A series of questions made Ding Zhu burst out laughing. Wei Hong did not seem embarrassed at all, but looked at Ding Zhu with expectation. Ding Zhu explained with a smile, "The so-called secret realms are divided into innate and acquired. The acquired secret realms are opened up by some powerful cultivators. It is said that in order to open up a secret realm, one must at least reach the spirit transformation stage or above. As for the innate secret realm, it is an independent small world, a kind of enclosed space that appears accidentally in the world. This kind of secret realm is generally very large, and it contains extremely rich cultivation resources and treasures. The secret realm I am talking about is called the Xingyin Secret Realm, which is a special secret realm under the control of Kangshan Immortal City. This special secret realm is controlled by Kangshan Immortal City, and a space formation is set up. The means and methods of entering and exiting the secret realm are only known to people in Kangshan Immortal City." Ding Zhu briefly explained to Wei Hong, and Wei Hong understood the meaning of the secret realm. At this time he asked again, "Then fellow Taoist Ding means to invite me to explore the Xingyin secret realm together? I wonder if there are any treasures and resources in the secret realm that are worthy of your visit." Fellow Taoist Wei asked the right question. Ding Zhu grinned, and then replied, "There are so many good things in this Xingyin secret realm. According to my master, there are extremely rich cultivation resources in the Zingian secret realm, as well as various natural treasures that are helpful for the foundation establishment stage and even the golden core stage. These are precious treasures that everyone wants to get. This Zingian secret realm opens once every 60 years and will open again soon. Therefore, every time there is a spot to enter the secret realm, it will be scrambled for. This time is no exception, and only cultivators in the foundation establishment stage can enter the secret realm. However, Master still gave me 2 spots and let me choose one by myself. After thinking about it, I thought of fellow Taoist Wei. Fellow Taoist Wei, what do you think? Are you willing to go with me? After that, Dingzhu looked at Wei Hong with anticipation. Dingzhu's master Bidang Mo was able to give her 2 places to enter the secret realm, which was already a great respect and pampering. After thinking about it, Dingzhu decided to give one of the places to Wei Hong. First, Wei Hong was already a cultivator in the late stage of foundation building, and his combat power was extremely strong. He was definitely a top strong man in the secret realm. Being able to travel with Wei Hong, her safety was also greatly guaranteed. Second, because Dingzhu only trusted Wei Hong now, the other brothers and sisters each had their own places, and they didn't need her to, so she simply went to Wei Hong. Wei Hong was shocked when he heard this. He didn't expect that there would be natural treasures that could be used for the Jinden stage in this so-called secret realm. In this way, this was clearly an opportunity given to him by Dingzhu. Go. Since it was invited by fellow Taoisting, Wei is naturally willing to go. Wei Hong replied after thinking for a moment. He would not miss such a good thing. Now he has begun to prepare for Dan. If he can get some natural treasures that are helpful for Dan in the Zingian secret realm, it will definitely be a great joy for him, so he must join in any case. Seeing Wei Hong agreed, Dingzhu was also very happy. She immediately said, okay, then it's settled. The time is set in half a month. Then, fellow Taoist Wei can wait for me at the door of Dangwang Pavilion. After that, Dingzhu said goodbye and left. Chapter 793, Fully Prepared. After Dingzhu left, the courtyard returned to peace. Wei Hong frowned slightly, and fell into deep thought. He didn't really doubt the secret realm and words that Dingzhu had mentioned. Dingzhu had no need to lie to him, and she had no motive to lie to him. She came to invite Wei Hong to go with her, and it was obvious that she trusted him very much. This invitation naturally moved him very much, so he agreed without thinking too much. If someone else had invited him, Wei Hong's first reaction would definitely be to doubt first, then think carefully, and finally refuse directly. Just like Wang Shai and Hang invited him to go out to collect spiritual medicine before, he would never agree to such an invitation from someone he didn't know very well. Even if it was someone familiar like Guan Yu, he would have to think twice, and would never agree immediately, for fear of falling into someone else's conspiracy. But Wei Hong trusted Dingzhu very much, and knew that she was still trustworthy. This time she came to invite him to participate in the secret realm, which should be regarded as repaying his friendship as a guardian. I'm afraid that fellow Taoisting also wants to use my power to explore the secret realm together. After all, I am now a well-known person. Wei Hong was naturally clear about Dingzhu's thoughts, but he did not feel any disgust. Others gave him opportunities and quotas, and he lent a hand or provided shelter at the appropriate time. This was a reasonable thing, so why should he feel disgusted? The reason why Wei Hong agreed so quickly was not only because he trusted Dingzhu, but the most important reason was that he needed to prepare for the formation of the elixir. There happened to be countless natural treasures in the secret realm, so he would not miss such a good opportunity. Alice, forming the elixir is not a simple matter. I don't know how long it will take to prepare for a breakthrough. Wei Hong sighed in his heart, and he still felt a little overwhelmed about the matter of forming the elixir. Forming the elixir is different from building a foundation. If it is building a foundation, even an extremely ordinary casual cultivator, as long as he has a foundation building pill, it is possible to successfully build a foundation. But it is different to form a pill. Those who can form a pill are all people with great opportunities or extremely talented. Compared with the cultivators in the foundation building stage, the number of cultivators in the golden elixir stage is definitely less than 1% of the cultivators in the foundation building stage, or even less. This shows how difficult it is to form a pill. Once the pill is formed successfully, it means that the person's status in the world of immortal cultivation has completely changed. In order to form a pill, Not only do you need various natural treasures to increase the success rate of forming a pill, but you also need to temper your state of mind to avoid being taken advantage of by the inner demons when breaking through, which will lead to the failure of forming a pill. Let's not talk about the state of mind first. Just the natural treasures needed for forming a pill, more than half of them are things that Wei Hong has never heard of. After several years of inquiries, he has only found out a few natural treasures that can increase the success rate of forming a pill. Moreover, every natural treasure will cause countless cultivators to scramble for it when it appears in Kangshan Immortal City, and the price of each one is enough to make people dumbfounded. If Wei Hong wanted to collect them slowly by himself, or slowly accumulate spirit stones to buy them, he didn't know how long it would take to collect all the natural treasures. In this way, the time for forming the elixir would be greatly extended, which was not what Wei Hong wanted to see. Now that he had the opportunity to participate in the secret realm, if he could find a few natural treasures that would help him form the elixir in the secret realm, it would save him a lot of time. How could he miss such an opportunity? Wei Hong thought at this time, since I have decided to participate in the secret realm exploration, I need to prepare well. All the preparations he made before were to deal with the upcoming war between Kangshan Immortal City and Blood Spirit Sect. Some things that have been prepared can be taken out and used, but some things need to be prepared separately. According to Ding Zhu, there will definitely be a lot of people participating in the secret realm this time. If this is the case, then entering the secret realm requires fighting with others, or even fighting with multiple parties, so that it is possible to grab the natural treasures you need. When Wei Hong thought of this, he immediately took it seriously. If it was just a few foundation-building cultivators besieging him, it would not pose any threat to him. However, it is very likely that hundreds or even thousands of people would enter the secret realm at the same time. If a big fight broke out to compete for the same natural treasure, even with his strong strength, he would be caught on the fight, and even be besieged by dozens of people. In this case, he needs to make some perfect preparations. Well, since it is for the preparation of Dan, there is no need to save. Wei Hong made up his mind, stood up and walked out of Dan Wang Pavilion. This time he appeared in his original appearance and came directly to the treasure pavilion. Haha, it turns out that it is Brother Wei who has come. I am sorry for not welcoming you from afar. It is really rude. Seeing Wei Hong appear, Lu Xianai, the manager of the treasure pavilion, immediately greeted him enthusiastically. Wei Hong smiled and said, Daoialu, you are too polite. I came here to buy some things from your store. I wonder if your store has them in stock. Haha, Daoiawei, please come in first. Let's sit down and talk slowly. Lu Xianai was not in a hurry to ask Wei Hong, but pulled him into the reception room to sit down. A maid immediately brought 2 cups of spiritual tea and placed them in front of Wei Hong and Lu Xianai respectively. Lu Xianai then greeted, Daoiawei, please have some tea. Thank you. Wei Hong thanked him and took a sip of the teacup. After he put down the teacup, Lu Xianai politely asked, I wonder what Daoiawei wants to buy. I will try my best to find it for you. Wei Hong directly took out a jade slip that he had prepared in advance and handed it over. This is the list. Daoialu, please take a look first. Lu Xianai's expression straightened, and he nodded and took the jade slip. He apologized to Wei Hong and started to check it directly. After a while, Lu Xianai took the jade slip away from his forehead, and then said carefully, Daoiawei, you need a lot of materials, but it happens that our Bao Kixun can gather them for you, but the price may not be much cheaper. Hearing that Bao Kixun could gather all the materials he needed, Wei Hong was delighted and immediately said, it's okay, Daoialu, just go and prepare them, as many spiritual stones as needed. This time, he had already planned to use up all the spiritual stones. In that jade slip, there were records of various materials for alchemy, talisman drawing and array formation, and they were all second-level medium-grade materials or above. The quantity required was not small, and the total value was a lot of spiritual stones. But for the trip to the secret realm in half a month, he couldn't care so much. Seeing this, Lu Xianai's face was also happy, and he hurriedly said, okay, Daoiao, please wait a moment, Lu will order someone to prepare it immediately. After that, he immediately called a servant, handed the jade slip to the servant, and gave him a few instructions. Chapter 794 Leirindong Wishu. After an incense stick of time, Wei Hong calmly walked out of the treasure pavilion and slowly returned to the direction of Dangwang Pavilion. This time, He bought a large number of various materials from the treasure pavilion, almost using up all the spirit stones he had accumulated over the years. But when he thought of the trip to the secret realm in half a month, Wei Hong felt that it was very worthwhile. As he walked slowly, he thought to himself, materials and other things are easy to buy at the treasure pavilion. Next, I just need to spend more time drawing talismans. But I don't know if the trip to the secret realm in half a month will be dangerous, and I don't know what variables will happen. If I can calculate what dangers there will be in advance, it would be great. When this idea popped up in his mind, he could no longer suppress it. So Wei Hong immediately had a flash of inspiration, and immediately associated the idea with a method of deduction. Yes, I can definitely go to the library to exchange for a deduction method. As long as the deduction method is upgraded to the extreme level, wouldn't it be easy to deduce the good or bad luck of my trip to the secret realm this time? Thinking of this, Wei Hong's steps became much lighter. After returning to Dangwon Pavilion, he went directly to the library, ready to look for a suitable method here. The old man guarding the library had no reaction to Wei Hong's appearance. Wei Hong went directly to the wooden shelf where the deduction methods were placed and looked up. Yu Men Qi Yuan Shu, Liu Rendong Wei Shu, Spirit Turtle Derivation Technique, Hello Spirit Derivation Technique. As many as dozens of deduction methods were placed on the wooden shelf, covering various grades from the second level middle grade to the second level extreme grade. Wei Hong reached out and picked up the jade slip that recorded, Spirit Turtle Derivation Technique, and immediately put it between his eyebrows and began to check. After just a moment, he opened his eyes and said to himself, a second grade top grade 1 is not bad, but this deduction method requires the tortoise shell of a spirit tortoise as the deduction object, which is a problem. After saying that, he put the jade slip in his hand back. Next, Wei Hong checked other jade slips one after another, and soon checked all the dozens of jade slips placed on the wooden shelf. Finally, he stood there and thought for a long time, and then picked up the jade slip that recorded the 6 Rendong Wei Shu, and a trace of determination flashed in his eyes. Let's take it. Although the required merit points are very high, it is very suitable for me. Wei Hong made a decision in his heart and directly chose this, 6 Rendong Wei Shu. This is a deduction method with a grade of second grade top grade, and it is extremely difficult to get started. To reach a high level, it requires extremely high talent and long-term hard work to deduce before it can be achieved. The most important thing is that if you want to perform this deduction spell, you need to pay a very heavy price, that is, life. This is a price that ordinary cultivators simply cannot afford. It is also for this reason that almost no one is interested in this deduction spell, but for Wei Hong, such a method is extremely suitable for him. Because he has vitality points to restore his lifespan, even if he consumes decades of lifespan by performing Liu Rendong Wei Shu, he can use vitality points to replenish it all, which means that Liu Rendong Wei Shu may be able to shine differently in his hands. After making the decision, he immediately took the jade slip to find the old man at the door. Excuse me, senior, please help me exchange this spell. Wei Hong respectfully handed over his identity token and the jade slip in his hand. The old man glanced at it lightly and suddenly said in surprise, Huh, Liu Rendong Wei Shu? Are you sure you want to exchange this spell? After that, the old man looked at Wei Hong with a slightly strange look. Wei Hong bowed and replied, Yes, I do. Thank you for your help, senior. No problem. Seeing that Wei Hong was sure, the old man picked up a blank jade slip and said while copying it, It takes 60,000 merit points to exchange for this Liu Rendong Wei Shu. You should have enough merit points, right? Wei Hong felt distressed, but still gritted his teeth and nodded, Enough, senior, just deduct it directly. He had accumulated merit points for more than 10 years and only had a little over 60,000. After exchanging for this deduction spell, he almost spent all his merit points. This made him feel quite distressed, but he did not have any regrets. After the old man finished deducting the merit points, he threw the jade slip to Wei Hong. Wei Hong took the jade slip and thanked the old man, then took the jade slip and left the library directly. This time he went directly back to his residence and came to the practice room. After sitting cross-legged on the golden silk cushion, Wei Hong took out the jade slip that recorded, Liu Rendong Wei Shu. He gently placed the jade slip on his forehead and extended his consciousness into it. At this moment, in Wei Hong's mind, the 5 golden characters, Liu Rendong Wei Shu, immediately appeared. Below the 5 characters, The general outline of this magic was recorded. Jia Ke Yinzai Yu Ke Chen, Bing Wu Kc is not necessary to discuss. Ding Ji Ke Wei Zheng Shen Shuang, Xin Su Ren Hai is the real one. Jiu Ik originally sat in Zhou Palace, clearly not using the four main gods. After the general outline, there were various records about the methods of cultivation and deduction. Wei Hong devoted himself to it and began to study it carefully. Half an hour. 1 hour. 2 hours. After 3 full hours, Wei Hong slowly opened his eyes. He took the jade slip away from his forehead and sighed. It is indeed a second-level top-grade deduction method. It is indeed complicated and difficult to understand. The content is even more vast. If it is an ordinary cultivator, it may take 10 years to get started. No wonder this method is almost ignored. The difficulty of practicing the deduction method is much greater than that of ordinary exercises, and the content involved is also extremely complicated. It is not something that ordinary people can understand. If you don't have a very high talent, even getting started is a luxury. At this time, the system sent a prompt, Ling. The second-level top-grade spell Liu Rendong Wei Shu was successfully included, and the current proficiency is entry level, 1/800. After seeing the starting proficiency of this spell, Wei Hong sighed secretly. Sure enough, even the vitality points required to improve the realm are much more than other spells. Compared with other spells, if this Liu Rendong Wei Shu wants to be promoted to the ultimate realm, at least thousands of vitality points are required, which also makes Wei Hong feel a little painful. Fortunately, there are still a batch of vitality points that have not been used before, otherwise this time I will really be at a loss. Wei Hong smiled bitterly and shook his head, secretly rejoicing in his heart. When he was protecting Ding Zhu before, he not only killed 4 robber cultivators, but also killed 7 or 8 foundation-building monsters, and gained more than 10,000 vitality points at that time. He has never used those more than 10,000 vitality points, but now they are just right to come in handy. Chapter 795, A Blessing in Disguise. Ling. Second-level top-grade spell Liu Rendong Wei Shu proficiency plus 800, current proficiency is mastery, 1/1200, Ling. Second-level top-grade spell Liu Rendong Wei Shu proficiency plus 1200, current proficiency is minor success, 1/1600, Ling. Second-level top-grade spell Liu Rendong Wei Shu proficiency plus 1600, current proficiency is major success, 1/2000. Almost half of his stored vitality points were consumed, and Wei Hong finally succeeded in raising the Liu Rendong Wei Shu to the limit. At this moment, countless complicated and obscure, and at the same time, vast knowledge began to pour into his mind, accompanied by a large amount of experience in performing Liu Rendong Wei Shu, and the amount of information was extremely huge. Even though Wei Hong had reached a late stage of foundation building, and his consciousness was even stronger than that of ordinary peak foundation-building cultivators, he could not help but groan in the face of the huge amount of information pouring into his mind, and immediately closed his eyes and began to absorb and digest it with all his strength. After more than an hour, he slowly opened his eyes. Huh? Wei Hong exhaled lightly, with a little fatigue in his eyes, and then secretly sighed. It is worthy of being a second-level top-grade deduction method. There are too many things involved, and the knowledge required is too complicated. If there is no vitality point, I want to concentrate on studying for at least 10 years before I can get started. Such a difficult deduction method made him feel emotional, but at the same time, he gave rise to a strong and incomparable confidence. He knew that the results deduced by this method would definitely not be much deviation. After he absorbed and digested all the information that emerged in his mind, he completely understood the power and disadvantages of this deduction method. At the cost of lifespan, everything can be divined. Although this method is quite effective, it is not only difficult for ordinary cultivators to practice, but even if they have practiced successfully, they can never perform it many times. Wei Hong understood the difficulties and disadvantages of this method, but it was not a problem for him at all. He did not need to worry about the reduction of his lifespan. As long as he had vitality points, he could replenish any lifespan he lost. Therefore, this Liren Dongwei technique was definitely a sharp weapon that he could perform frequently. Thinking of this, he immediately became interested. In this case, let's try a hexagram first. He exchanged this Liren Dongwei technique in order to deduce the good and bad fortune of the trip to the secret realm half a month later. Now that he has already improved his realm, He naturally needs to divine a hexagram to see the good and bad fortune first, so that he can know it in his mind. So Wei Hong immediately took out 6 copper coins from his storage bag and held the copper coins in his palms with both hands. This Liu Rendong Wei Shu can actually be deduced with anything as a medium, either copper coins or fallen leaves. There is no limit, because the medium is not important. What is important is the lifespan paid by the caster. Wei Hong began to chant, and the spiritual power in his body was quickly mobilized. At this time, an invisible and mysterious aura began to entangle him. Wei Hong's expression became solemn, and his chanting became faster and faster. After a moment, the spell he was chanting suddenly stopped, and then he opened his hands and gently threw them with his palms facing up. Hualala! 6 copper coins were immediately thrown from the air to the ground, and appeared in different directions, showing different sides, which seemed quite mysterious. At this time, Wei Hong had not had time to check the hexagram, and he immediately felt that the aura entangled with him took away something from him at once, which was difficult to detect in the dark, but he could feel it faintly. Is this the feeling of having your life shortened? Wei Hong frowned slightly, and his face turned slightly pale. His lifespan had been reduced invisibly, so it would not be without any impact. But Wei Hong did not care, as it was only a reduction of more than 10 years of lifespan. He cast his eyes on the 6 copper coins on the ground, and his face changed slightly when he saw the hexagram clearly. Huh? The upper Zhen and lower Kan, the water thunder ton hexagram, is such a fierce hexagram. No, not only that, this water thunder ton hexagram also contains the heaven Zelu hexagram, which is actually a hexagram with good fortune in spite of the bad. Wei Hong frowned, obviously not expecting such a hexagram. According to the records of Liu Rendong Wei Shu, the water thunder ton hexagram is one of the 4 fierce hexagrams, but this hexagram also contains the heaven Zelu hexagram, which is obviously a hexagram with good fortune in spite of the bad, which obviously indicates that his trip to the secret realm this time is not small, but he can turn the bad into good fortune, and he can also gain a lot. Auspiciousness amidst danger. Wei Hong muttered to himself, and said secretly, it seems that this trip to the secret realm is indeed very dangerous. Even if I am a cultivator in the late stage of foundation building, I will inevitably encounter great danger. I just don't know if the good fortune in this will really appear. It seems that I still can't take it lightly. He couldn't help but sigh softly, and he was still a little worried about this trip to the secret realm. After all, this hexagram is not very good. Although it is auspiciousness amidst danger, it is mainly a bad hexagram. Obviously, the danger he may encounter should not be underestimated. Faced with such a hexagram, Wei Hong did not dare to be careless at all. I still need to make more preparations. Although I don't know what dangers I will encounter in the secret realm, it is nothing more than humans and monsters. As long as I am well prepared, I can naturally turn danger into good fortune. Wei Hong put away the 6 copper coins with a wave of his hand, and then stood up and came to the wooden table next to him. He took out a thick stack of second-grade high-quality talisman skins from his storage bag, and filled the inkstone next to him with spiritual ink. He closed his eyes and thought for a moment, then picked up the talisman pen on the right. Now there is only half a month left before entering the secret realm. This time is too short to allow him to make a breakthrough in his cultivation. If he wants to increase his trump cards and means, drawing talismans is currently the only choice. Wei Hong dipped the tip of the pen into the spiritual ink, and then the talisman pen stood up right above the talisman skin. The next moment, he held the talisman pen and moved quickly. The tip of the pen outlined a series of runes on the talisman skin, which looked quite complex and mysterious. At this time, Wei Hong's writing was like flowing water, and the tip of the pen was strong and powerful but not without sharpness. He quickly drew most of the talisman, and the speed was amazing. This was mainly because he had already reached the limit of the realm of this self-destructing talisman method, and he didn't know how many he had drawn. He was already proficient to the extreme, so his speed would naturally not be slow. After a moment, Wei Hong stopped writing and stood. The spiritual energy of heaven and earth in the training room surged and poured down towards the self-destructing talisman on the wooden table. Soon, when the spiritual energy of heaven and earth returned to calm, the self-destructing talisman also restrained its light and became introverted. Wei Hong did not even look at it, put away the self-destructing talisman that he had already drawn and continued to draw talismans. He had to prepare more talismans as soon as possible within the next half month, so that he could deal with more crises. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelis. There you'll find the original version of this story, and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 796 Intelligence, Secret Treasure. The next day, Wei Hong left Danwang Pavilion again and went straight to Xianji Pavilion. When he came to a small room, he was greeted by a cultivator in the middle stage of foundation building. Haha, it turns out that it is fellow Taoist Wei who has come. I wonder what information fellow Taoist Wei wants to buy this time. After seeing Wei Hong, the middle-aged man smiled politely. Although 10 years have passed, many people in Xianchang still recognize Wei Hong's appearance. Wei Hong was not surprised. He said directly, "Thank you for finding the information about Xingyian's secret realm for me." "Oh? Xingyian's secret realm?" The middle-aged man looked at Wei Hong in surprise at first, and then smiled and said, "I see, fellow Taoist, please wait a moment." Obviously, this person has guessed that Wei Hong is going to participate in the secret realm. But he did not say much. After all, this is the guest's privacy. Wei Hong did not say much, but waited quietly on the side. Soon, a white light appeared in the small magic circle next to the middle-aged man. The next moment, a jade slip was lying quietly in the magic circle. The middle-aged man picked up the jade slip and checked it first, then put it on the table and pushed it in front of Wei Hong, saying, "Dao Wei, please take a look. This is all the information about the Xingyian secret realm." Wei Hong did not pick it up to check it immediately, but asked, "How much is it worth?" The middle-aged man smiled and replied, 300 medium-grade spirit stones will do. "Dao, please keep it." Wei Hong directly took out 300 medium-grade spirit stones and handed them over, then picked up the jade slip. After the money and goods were settled, he said goodbye and left. Then he went back to his residence and began to carefully read the contents of the jade slip. After more than half an hour, Wei Hong slowly opened his eyes. He held the jade slip in his hand and muttered to himself, "It turns out that there are so many natural treasures in this Xingyian secret realm." This jade slip recorded the origin of the Xingyian secret realm and the various situations that occurred every time it was opened, including various rare treasures brought out by many foundation building monks. All those that appeared would be recorded on it. In addition, there were various events that occurred in the secret realm. As long as they were provided and confirmed by the foundation building monks, the Xianji Pavilion also recorded them one by one, which was extremely detailed. After reading it, Wei Hong couldn't help but sighed. 300 medium-grade spirit stones are really worth it. It was naturally worth it for him to get such information with only 300 medium-grade spirit stones. After reading it, Wei Hong already had a clear idea in his mind, and he had a lot more confidence in this trip to the secret realm, and his worries were dissipated a lot. 3 days later, Wei Hong drew talismans for 3 consecutive days, so today he decided to go out of his residence to get some fresh air. He slowly walked towards the direction of the Earth Fire Hall, and met many familiar faces along the way. After arriving at the Earth Fire Hall, he found that there were many alchemists and deacons gathered in the hall, and many of them were people he knew, and they were gathered together to discuss something. Guan Yu was also among them, and he was quite sharp-eyed. He saw Wei Hong the moment he walked in, so he immediately waved and said, "Haha, fellow Taoist Wei, you haven't shown up for a long time, come over quickly." Wei Hong's appearance immediately attracted the attention of everyone present. Wei Hong turned around and approached them, then he bowed and smiled at them. "Haha, nice to meet you, fellow Taoists. I have been in seclusion recently, so I rarely see you. Haha, fellow Taoist Wei, you haven't been with us for a long time. Fellow Taoist Wei is still so diligent. No wonder he can break through to the late stage of foundation building in just over 10 years. It's really embarrassing for us. Haha, that's right, fellow Taoist Wei, you should communicate with us more. Fellow Taoist Wei, please sit down. It's a coincidence that we met today. We can't let you leave, haha." Regardless of whether they were familiar with each other or not, the people present were all stewards or alchemists of the Danwang Pavilion. They all understood Wei Hong's status in the Danwang Pavilion. In addition, everyone knew that Wei Hong and Ding Zhu were good friends. Therefore, no matter what these people thought in their hearts, at least on the surface they were very enthusiastic about Wei Hong. Wei Hong chatted with everyone for a few words and sat down in an empty seat. At this time, He took the initiative to ask, I heard the voices of fellow Taoists just after entering the Earth Fire Hall. I wonder what you are discussing. As soon as these words came out, Guan Yu couldn't help but replied excitedly, Haha, fellow Taoist Wei, I believe you have also heard the news that the secret realm is about to open, right? We are talking about the opening of this secret realm. Haha, that's right. Another man named Zhao Kun took over the conversation and said, according to the information we have received, there will be no less than 1,000 people who can get the quota to enter the secret realm when it opens. When Wei Hong heard this number, he was immediately surprised and said, no less than 1,000 people. There are so many. Guan Yu shook his head and said, actually, it's not that many. Fellow Taoist Wei, you don't know how big the Xingyin secret realm is. More than 1,000 people entering it is like rainwater merging into a river. After they disperse, it will take a long time to meet other cultivators. Yes, I heard that there are all kinds of natural treasures in the secret realm, such as Jinyangzi, Lingxi fruit, Yining grass and Shianking flower, etc. These are all natural treasures that help to form a pill. Even if you only have one, you can exchange it for a large amount of spiritual stones. Another middle-aged man in a green Taoist robe also echoed at this time, and his tone was full of envy. Obviously, this person did not get a place to enter the secret realm. Not only that, a gorgeous female cultivator said, I heard that the last time the secret realm was opened, someone found a 7 clouds lotus from the secret realm. I don't know how big a sensation it caused at the time. What? 7 clouds lotus? Are you sure, fellow Taoist Su? Is it the 7 clouds lotus that is rumored to increase a person's cultivation by 1 level as long as it is swallowed? No way? There is such a treasure in the Xingyin secret realm. Alice, it's a pity that we have no chance to enter it, it's really a pity. Hearing that there is a natural treasure like the 7 clouds lotus in the secret realm, the deacons around couldn't help but exclaimed. Even Wei Hong couldn't help but feel moved, because he had also heard of the name of the 7 clouds lotus. It was a rare treasure that could greatly increase the cultivation of the swallower, or even increase the cultivation by 1 level. If he got it, it would be just a matter of time for him to break through to the golden core stage. At this moment, because of the news that everyone was talking about, Wei Hong couldn't help but look forward to this trip to the secret realm. He also hoped that he could gain a lot in the secret realm. And the deacons around him were discussing the news of the treasure, the 7 clouds lotus, even more heatedly. Chapter 797, Get Ready. The atmosphere of discussion on the scene seemed very heated. However, at this moment, a voice with a slight sneer suddenly sounded, don't dream about it. There are indeed countless natural treasures in the Xingyin secret realm, but how many people can really bring them out? It's good enough to be able to come out of the secret realm alive. Many cultivators are even buried in the secret realm forever. If you don't have the strength, entering the secret realm is just to die. As soon as these words came out, the people who were originally discussing suddenly quieted down. The heated atmosphere also cooled down, and a touch of sadness and fear appeared on the faces of the cultivators. Yes, that is a secret realm, and the dangers there are far more terrible than the rewards. Guan Yu also woke up from his longing, and then sighed and said, Friend Hong is right. Although every time the secret realm is opened, some people can get some natural treasures from it, but most of them can never get out. Those who are buried in the secret realm forever have either encountered terrible monsters, or fallen into an extremely dangerous Jedi, or encountered human disasters. In short, not everyone is qualified to enter the secret realm. Guan Yu's words can be said to be sharp and sobered everyone up. Everyone nodded silently, obviously agreeing with it. This is how the world is. They often only remember the winners. As for those monks who are buried in the secret realm or died for various reasons, they will not be remembered at all. They will be forgotten in the blink of an eye. So no matter which secret realm is opened, people will only remember those monks who came out of the secret realm and what rare natural treasures those monks have obtained. But as fellow cultivators, how could Guan Yu and his companions not know the dangers in the secret realm? They usually ignore it subconsciously. Now that someone has mentioned it, they naturally think of the various dangers in the secret realm, so that everyone is a little frightened. Fortunately, none of them are qualified to enter the secret realm, so they don't have to worry about anything. Wei Hong secretly thought to himself, those cultivators who have buried in the secret realm are probably more likely to encounter man-made disasters than natural disasters. The secret realm is full of various natural treasures, which everyone wants. In this way, Where there are people, there will be fighting, not to mention that it is for the sake of competing for natural treasures, so it is naturally impossible for each other to hold back, which will cause a large number of casualties among cultivators. The reason why Wei Hong made sufficient preparations was mainly to guard against other cultivators. Now, he is full of expectations for the trip to the secret realm, and he has also made mental preparations for anyone who stands in his way. Half a month later, at dawn that day, Wei Hong was ready to go. Just as he opened the gate, he found that Dingzhu happened to come to the door. Haha, fellow Taoisting is really punctual. Wei Hong greeted with a smile. Dingzhu also smiled and responded, fellow Taoist Wei, aren't you also punctual? Let's go together. Dingzhu came early in the morning to take Wei Hong to the entrance of the secret realm. Wei Hong naturally would not refuse, and smiled and said, okay, then I'll trouble fellow Taoisting. Dingzhu waved her hand nonchalantly, and the two immediately walked towards the direction of the inner city. As they walked, Dingzhu introduced to Wei Hong, the entrance to the Xingyin secret realm has always been controlled by the Kangshan Immortal City. Usually, many restrictions are set up. Even a real person in the nascent soul stage cannot break through. Only when the secret realm is opened, will the many restrictions be opened. There are no less than 1,000 people participating in the secret realm this time. They are all younger disciples of major forces in the Immortal City. Each of them has a great background. It is best not to have conflicts with these people after entering the secret realm. If it cannot be avoided, it is best not to. When she said the last sentence, Dingzhu turned her head gently and looked at Wei Hong. A cold light flashed in her eyes, and her meaning was self-evident. Wei Hong just smiled and nodded and said, don't worry, fellow Taoisting, I have always been kind to others and will not take the initiative to provoke others. If Taoist encounters any danger, Wei will naturally not stand idly by within my ability. Taoist, don't worry. Wei Hong's words were also a reassurance to Dingzhu, making her smile immediately. Soon, under the leadership of Dingzhu, the two of them entered the inner city with their identity tokens and entered a hall with many restrictions. There were not only a large number of guards outside the hall, but also the terrifying restrictions of no less than 10 layers. Wei Hong felt his scalp tingling after just one look, and even broke out in a cold sweat. He did not dare to look at it again. After entering the hall, Wei Hong found that the hall was unusually spacious, hundreds of feet wide, and at this time, a dense crowd had already gathered in the hall. These people were divided into groups of different sizes, and they were whispering about something. After entering the hall, Dingzhu first glanced around, then her eyes lit up, and she pulled Wei Hong to the left, and soon came to a small group of 7 or 8 people. At this time, a beautiful woman who seemed to be a little warm also saw the figures of Dingzhu and Wei Hong, so she smiled softly and said, little sister, you are finally here. This is Wei Daoyao, right? I am Suning, nice to meet you Daoyao. As soon as the woman finished speaking, the people around her turned their heads and looked at Dingzhu and Wei Hong. Among these people, in addition to Suning, there was another woman, but that woman looked petite and seemed to be very arrogant. She just glanced at them and then retracted her gaze. In addition, the remaining 6 people were all men. When they saw Dingzhu and Wei Hong coming hand in hand, a strange color flashed in their eyes. One of them was not handsome, but his expression was quite cold and arrogant. When he saw Dingzhu and Wei Hong walking so close, an imperceptible cold light flashed in his eyes, and his expression suddenly became a little gloomy. Dingzhu approached and said with a smile, don't blame me, senior sister. I'm here. By the way, fellow Taoist Wei, let me introduce you. This is my 5th senior sister Suning. Her alchemy skills are truly inherited from master. As soon as she said this, Suning immediately laughed and said, what are you talking about? My alchemy skills are not even 1% of master's. Little junior sister, don't flatter me. Wei Hong took a step forward, bowed to Suning and said, haha, it turns out to be fellow Taoist Su. I've heard of you for a long time. He could see that Suning was indeed a woman with a gentle temper and was easy to talk to. When Suning heard what Wei Hong said, she immediately responded, fellow Taoist Wei, I should be the one to say that I've heard of you for a long time, and I heard of your name as early as 10 years ago. Just one sentence made Wei Hong feel good about the woman in front of him. Chapter 798, Rising to Fame. At this time, the atmosphere among the crowd was quite harmonious. At this time, a voice with a slightly arrogant tone suddenly sounded, oh? Wei Hong? but it is said that he killed several evil cultivators of the blood spirit sect 10 years ago. After this voice sounded, the smile on Wei Hong's mouth instantly faded a lot. He looked at the person who spoke, and saw a man wearing a white robe, who looked a little ordinary, but his expression was full of coldness and arrogance. Wei Hong just glanced at him and replied lightly, "I dare not, it's just a rumor, don't take it seriously." When the man heard Wei Hong's words, he immediately became excited like a cat that smelled blood. He immediately laughed and said, "Haha, it turns out to be just a rumor. It seems that your reputation is really not to be taken seriously." After that, he looked at Su Ning and Ding Zhu with a little pride as if he had won a victory, as if he wanted to show them something, and even the look he gave Wei Hong was full of contempt. Wei Hong seemed to be completely unaware, and just smiled faintly. "Haha, that's true, but it's not as famous as fellow Taoist." He took a deep look at the man at this time, and memorized his appearance directly in his heart. He didn't know why this person targeted him directly when they first met. He knew very well that there was absolutely no hatred between the two of them before, but he would not be angry in vain by being ridiculed and mocked by others in such an unclear way. If there is a chance in the future, he will naturally return it fiercely. At this time, Ding Zhu immediately said indignantly, "Third brother, what does fellow Taoist Wei's reputation have to do with you? He is my good friend, don't say anything nonsense." Even Su Ning looked at the man with some displeasure, but did not say anything more. Ding Zhu turned to look at Wei Hong again and introduced him, "Dao Wei, this is my third brother Xiang Zhuang. He always likes to joke with others. Dao, don't mind." Wei Hong didn't even look at Xiang Zhuang, but waved his hand and smiled. It's just a joke, why would Wei care? Obviously, he didn't take Xiang Zhuang seriously. At this time, Wei Hong had already seen that the reason why the man named Xiang Zhuang targeted him seemed to be related to Ding Zhu. Xiang Zhuang looked at Ding Zhu with a strange look in his eyes. It was obvious that he had taken a fancy to Ding Zhu, but seeing that Ding Zhu was so close to him, it was obvious that he regarded him as a rival in love. Faced with this unprovoked disaster, Wei Hong could only smile bitterly. "Junior sister, Xiang Zhuang's face became anxious and he was about to say something else. But Ding Zhu interrupted him directly and said, "Dao Wei, come, I will continue to introduce you. This is my fourth brother Yang Wei. His cultivation has reached the late stage of foundation building. You can have a chance to communicate with each other." "Oh? It turns out to be Dao Yang. You are polite." Wei Hong smiled and greeted. Yang Wei was kind, and he also smiled and responded, "Hello, Dao Wei. If there is a chance in the future, please teach me." "Haha, I dare not." Wei Hong said he dared not, appearing very humble. Ding Zhu introduced him to several other cultivators next to him, and they were all people of high status. Among them were two foundation-building cultivators from the inner part of the Immortal City. The cultivation of the two had reached the late stage of foundation building. The aura was strong and stable, which made Wei Hong look up to them. However, the two were also quite arrogant and just nodded to Wei Hong lightly. Wei Hong didn't care and just nodded slightly. He would do what others did. This was his consistent principle. The other few people were from several major Jinden families near the Immortal City. These families actually had Jinden stage masters. Facing a cultivator like Wei Hong who was gaining fame, the cultivators from different families looked a little arrogant, but they did not dare to look down on Wei Hong too much. They all greeted him in a friendly manner. At this time, Wei Hong couldn't help but sigh in his heart. The people present not only have a good background, but also have cultivation bases above the middle stage of foundation building. It seems that this trip to the secret realm cannot be underestimated. There were no less than 1,000 foundation building cultivators gathered in the whole hall. Everyone knew what kind of occasion this was, so they would not restrain their auras, but wanted to stand out. In this way, under the perception of Wei Hong's consciousness, various powerful auras came one after another, which made him quite emotional. These were naturally the top figures in the foundation building period. Everyone had their own pride. It was precisely because of this that there were fights wherever there were people. This trip to the secret realm would definitely not be peaceful. At this time, Ding Zhu turned around and whispered to Wei Hong, "Fellow Taoist Wei, why don't I lend you Bailing? You are much stronger than me. With Bailing's help, you will definitely find more natural treasures." Bailing is Ding Zhu's pet treasure hunting rat. She is not strong enough, and this time she is mainly going to broaden her horizons. Her master also means this, so she wants to lend the treasure hunting rat to Wei Hong, so that Wei Hong can gain more from it. However, Wei Hong directly refused and said, "No need. Bai Ling must play a significant role in the secret realm. I can't take away the opportunity of fellow Taoisting. With his strength, it doesn't matter whether he has the help of the treasure hunting rat or not. On the contrary, if he takes the treasure hunting rat away, Dingzu's gains will be much smaller." Seeing Wei Hong's firm face, Dingzu didn't say anything more. In the whole hall, thousands of foundation building monks were talking in low voices, so that the whole hall seemed very noisy, and the buzzing sound continued. However, at this moment, a crisp bell suddenly rang. "Ling!" Exclamation mark. As the bell rang, all the monks at the scene suddenly quieted down. The next moment, a figure carrying a terrifying aura appeared in the hall. A pressure followed, causing everyone present to change their faces slightly. Fortunately, the pressure was released and then retracted, which made everyone breathe a sigh of relief. At this time, the figure said in a low voice, "Since everyone is here, let's prepare to open the secret realm." As soon as this was said, everyone's face flashed with a hint of joy. Dingzu saw that Wei Hong seemed a little confused, so she introduced him in a low voice. "This person is the second disciple of Kangshin's Henrun. His cultivation has reached the peak of the middle stage of Jinden and he may enter the late stage of Jinden at any time. This time, he is responsible for the opening of the secret realm." Wei Hong immediately understood what he said, and couldn't help but cast a grateful look at Dingzu. To be honest, he has been in Kangshin Xiancheng for so many years, but he doesn't know any of the high-level figures in the Xiancheng. If it weren't for Dingzu's introduction, he wouldn't know who that person was. Following the order from the Jinden master, 9 men in black robes rushed into the hall. The 9 men walked to the depths of the hall and stood in a 9-square formation. The Jinden master also walked over slowly, looking very solemn. Chapter 799 Teleportation Array. Buzz! A stream of energy rippled through the hall. The next moment, the Jinden strongman walked in front of the 9 people with a triangular black token in one hand. He threw it lightly, and the triangular black token floated in front of him. Then the man immediately made hand gestures and kept muttering. At this moment, on the spacious open space surrounded by the 9 black-robed men, silver-white spiritual lights quickly emerged. These spiritual lights were very dense, as if they completely locked up this space, just like a space cage, and the breath released made all the foundation building cultivators present tremble. At this time, the Jinden strongman in front suddenly shouted, stretched out his hand and pointed forward, and a golden spiritual power gushed out and fell directly on the triangular black token suspended in the air. Buzz! The triangular token instantly emitted layers of dark light, and then enveloped the ground. Under the illumination of the layers of dark light, the space cage formed by the silver-white spiritual light instantly became like white snow encountering the scorching sun, and dissipated directly. The next moment, when the space cage formed by the silver-white spiritual light completely melted, the ground also cracked neatly, and then sank out of thin air, revealing a round hole more than 10 feet wide. At this time, the Jinden strongman suddenly shouted in a low voice, "Get up!" Boom! The whole hall seemed to be shaken, and then a small altar slowly emerged from the round hole on the ground. The altar was dark as a hole, and seemed to be made of one piece. In the center of the altar was engraved a formation that looked very mysterious and complicated. The formation was not activated at this time, and seemed to be in a dormant state. After seeing the altar appear, the Jinden strongman waved his hand, and 9 men in black robes immediately stepped forward and put a large number of spiritual stones into the formation. Wei Hong also noticed that there were hundreds of high-quality spiritual stones among them. The consumption of these spiritual stones alone was enough to make people smack their lips. After all the spiritual stones were arranged, the 9 men in black robes immediately retreated far away. The second disciple of Kangshin's Henrun stepped forward, first waved his hand to collect the triangular black token, and then directly shot a spiritual power to hit the formation, which immediately activated the formation. Buzz! An invisible wave flashed by, and the whole formation immediately glowed with a faint white light. The next moment, a dazzling white light rushed into the sky, rising more than 10 feet high, and the dazzling white light enveloped the formation, forming a circular light column several feet wide. When the circular light column appeared, a wave of space fluctuations spread out, and the foundation building monks and the whole hall were all refreshed, and at the same time, they looked at the circular light column in the middle of the altar with a feeling. At this time, the giant and strong man turned around, looked at everyone, and said loudly, "The teleportation array has been activated, and you can enter the secret realm at any time. This teleportation array can teleport 10 people at a time. Everyone, form a free group, and start." After that, the man stepped aside. When the foundation building monks in the hall heard that they could enter the secret realm, many of them could not sit still, and they rushed over to rush in, wanting to enter the secret realm first. After all, if they rush in first, they can take the lead, or search for more natural treasures first. Faced with such a temptation, how many people can remain indifferent? Fortunately, these foundation building monks also know the limits, and there is no turmoil. Instead, they line up in an orderly manner to enter the array, and each time, 10 people form a free group. Wei Hong saw that when the 10 cultivators entered the formation in the circular light column, the dazzling white light outside would suddenly brighten, and then the 10 people would disappear without a trace in the formation. Teleportation formation. Wei Hong's eyes sparkled. He had been thinking about a legendary teleportation formation for a long time. Unfortunately, the lowest grade of the teleportation formation was above the 3rd grade, which was not something he could touch with his current cultivation. Even the library of Dan Wong Pavilion did not have any records of the teleportation formation. Even if he wanted to find it and comprehend it, he had no way. Now that he saw the ready-made teleportation formation in this hall, Wei Hong was naturally interested. However, with the presence of a giant and master, he did not dare to release his consciousness rashly. At this time, Dingzhu and others quickly assembled 10 cultivators, and they quickly approached the altar, waiting for the opportunity to enter the secret realm. Dingzhu whispered to Wei Hong, "Dao Wei, our master has already reminded us that this is a short-distance teleportation array, and the teleportation is random, which means that after we enter the secret realm, each of us may appear in a different location, so after entering, Dao Wei, you must be more careful." Wei understands, Dao Ding, don't worry. Wei Hong smiled at Dingzhu. Dingzhu naturally trusted Wei Hong's strength very much. She just reminded him and then quickly focused her attention on the altar. Wei Hong was the same. As he slowly approached the short-distance teleportation array, he stared at the array with his eyes, as if he wanted to imprint the entire array in his mind. Soon, the 10 of them were about to be teleported. Dingzhu's third brother Xiang Zhuang walked in front and walked into the circular light column first. Wei Hong and others followed closely behind, and his eyes were still staring at the teleportation array without moving away. However, just as he was about to step into the formation, the system in his mind suddenly shook violently, and then a prompt came, "Ding, the 3rd-level intermediate short-distance teleportation array was successfully included, and the current proficiency is entry level, 1/3000. When this prompt sounded in Wei Hong's mind, he was immediately ecstatic. This can also be included? Haha, great, it's really great, this should be my harvest." Wei Hong laughed wildly in his heart, and almost couldn't keep his calm face. He didn't expect that the system would actually include this teleportation array. In this way, doesn't it mean that as long as he breaks through to the golden core stage, he can understand the teleportation array in the future, and then add a new trump card for himself? In this way, whether it is to escape or for other purposes, this short-distance teleportation array is definitely a rare means. Although it cannot be teleported hundreds of miles away at once, it is still 100 times better than digging a tunnel. Haha, not bad, not bad. We have gained a lot before entering the secret realm. It seems that this trip to the secret realm will not be in vain. Wei Hong was overjoyed and looked forward to this trip to the secret realm even more. All 10 of them soon entered the teleportation array, and then a white light suddenly lit up. Buzz! A space wave flashed by, and the 10 people in the array were instantly teleported out. Chapter 800 Purple Spirit Flower. Swish! Wei Hong staggered slightly, and then stood firmly again. The next moment, he scanned the surroundings with a vigilant look on his face. His spiritual sense also extended out without hesitation, fearing that he would be attacked inexplicably. Fortunately, his luck was not bad. It seemed that he had not fallen into any dangerous place, and there were no traces of monsters around. It was still safe for the time being. Wei Hong took a deep breath, and felt a sense of comfort in every pore of his body. Such a rich spiritual energy of heaven and earth, it is worthy of being a secret realm that can breed countless natural treasures. Wei Hong's face was full of emotion, because the spiritual energy of heaven and earth that he sensed here was at least twice as abundant as that outside. It seemed that just taking a casual breath was equivalent to meditating hard for an hour. If a mortal stayed in such a place, he would definitely live a long life without illness or disaster. The place where Wei Hong was at this time seemed to be a plain area, with green grass growing under his feet. Not far in front of him was a mountain forest, and the mountain forest in the distance seemed to be connected to a mountain range. At this moment, Dingzhu and the others had all disappeared. Sure enough, the transmission is random. It seems that I can only explore it myself now. Wei Hong looked around and didn't look surprised. But he didn't relax his vigilance at all. After all, this was a secret realm he had never been to before. He didn't know what dangers existed in it. It was absolutely right to be cautious. With such a vigilant mind, he began to fly up on his sword. However, he only left the ground less than 3 feet away, and then stopped at that position, then took out another flying sword from the storage bag and controlled the flying sword to fly high into the sky. After seeing that the flying sword flew hundreds of feet high without any problems, Wei Hong quietly breathed a sigh of relief and said secretly, "Very good, there is indeed no prohibition of flying." As early as entering the secret realm, he had specially checked a lot of information, including the information bought from the Xianji Pavilion. He had studied it carefully. None of the information mentioned the prohibition of flying, but for the sake of caution, he still tried it himself once, and then he felt relieved. Wei Hong immediately flew up on his sword and flew straight to the forest not far away. When he arrived in the forest, he pressed the flying sword and landed on the ground. Just after landing, he saw a small purple flower in front of him. Huh? Purple spirit flower. Wei Hong didn't expect that he would find a spiritual flower as soon as he entered the forest. Although it was only a first-grade top-grade spiritual flower, it was as common as weeds in the forest, which still surprised him. It seemed that he needed to re-examine his impression of this secret place. Since it was a spiritual flower, there was no reason to let it go. So Wei Hong walked forward gently and picked the purple spiritual flower. After putting away the purple spiritual flower, he raised his foot and walked forward. However, before he walked far, he immediately saw a light yellow spiritual grass under a big tree. The spiritual grass also had a white fruit the size of a little finger, and the leaves swayed gently in the breeze. Huangyan grass. Wei Hong paused, and a trace of surprise appeared on his face again. This Huangyuan grass is also a first-class spiritual grass, but it looks like an ordinary weed in this forest. At this moment, Wei Hong couldn't help but look up at this secret realm, and then sighed in a low voice, "It seems that I still underestimated this secret realm." Although he had been mentally prepared before entering the secret realm, he never thought that there would be some first-class spiritual flowers and spiritual grasses everywhere in the secret realm. It was not until this moment that he really understood why there were so many natural treasures in this secret realm. Perhaps, most of the natural treasures I need for Dan can be found here. When Wei Hong thought of this, his heart became extremely hot. He picked the Huangyuan grass directly and walked towards a valley in front. The reason why he didn't fly directly was because he wanted to explore this forest first, which was also to adapt to the environment of the secret realm, so that he could better find natural treasures next time. Wei Hong soon arrived at the entrance of the valley. He carefully released his spiritual sense and found that there was no trace of any monster within 100 feet. Then he stepped into the valley. This valley was not very big, but the spiritual energy in the valley was 2 points richer than outside. Moreover, there was a pool of water more than 10 feet wide in the valley, which surprised him. Wei Hong stood at a distance of several dozen feet from the pool and looked at it intently. Although the pool was not big, the water was dark green and seemed very deep, enough to discourage ordinary people. At this time, Wei Hong was suddenly startled, because he saw a 3-foot-tall tree growing on the edge of the pool. Although the tree was not tall, it looked like a dragon claw with 5 branches. The trunk was also as thick as a fist, and there were faint scaly patterns on the surface of the trunk, which looked very rough. On the 5 branches of the small tree, 3 branches were hung with an egg-sized fruit, but the whole body was light yellow, and the surface also had light scale-like patterns. Dragon scale fruit. Wei Hong couldn't help but exclaim in his heart, and a hint of surprise flashed in his eyes. The 3 light yellow fruits were clearly the second-grade middle-grade dragon scale fruit. He didn't expect that he would have such a harvest just by walking into valley casually. However, Wei Hong was not overwhelmed by the surprise in front of him, and he didn't go over to pick them immediately. Instead, he quietly restrained his breath and slowly retreated behind a rock. Because he was very keen to see that there were no dragon scale fruits on the other two branches. It's not that they didn't grow, but that they were eaten by monsters. On the other two branches, there were obvious signs of gnawing, and some leaves were also half-eaten. It was clear that there was a monster guarding this dragon scale fruit tree. Wei Hong was no longer surprised by monsters guarding natural treasures or spiritual flowers and fruits. He also observed that there were several large footprints next to the dragon scale fruit tree, which was the direction leading to the water pool. This meant that the monster guarding the dragon scale fruit tree must be hiding in the water pool. I don't know what monster it is. The 3 dragon scale fruits are already ripe. It seems that the monster in the water pool wants to slowly digest the medicinal power of the dragon scale fruit, so it didn't swallow all of it. Although Wei Hong couldn't guess what kind of monster was in the water pool, he could see the monster's plan. The monster clearly wanted to maximize the medicinal power of the dragon scale fruit, so it slowly nibbled and swallowed them one by one, instead of eating them all at once to avoid wasting the medicinal power. Since I have encountered it, it can't be wasted anymore. Wei Hong laughed softly, looking at the 3 dragon scale fruits with a determination to get them. End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone. See you in the next video.